I bet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, joined as always by the great white hope, John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics, and also Destructo Jugo, returning for the third or fourth time. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well. I'm very excited to get in here, shoot the shit, man. This to me is just like the coolest hangout to just chat. So love being here. Would count me 100 times if I was asked.
I love it. We love it so much. John, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I'm very excited. Every time Ate's here, we make sure to line up all the fun topics. We're going to be talking about some Invincible today. We're going to be talking about some MCU. And believe me, both of them are going to relate heavily to politics.
Yes,
but that's going to be our reward for getting to the end of the show, because we got to open up with... We were talking before we went live here, and it's like last week with the Signal stuff, that was easy to read about. It was entertaining to read. As much as it was scary for our national security, it was an easy read. The news of the last 48 hours has been dire to get through. Both just boring and direly consequential. It's just quite brutal, TJ.
Yeah, it's bad times, folks. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news lately, but things is bad out there. This is from NPR, so you know it's real. Brutal day for stocks. Dow plunges almost 1,700 points on new tariff. So you know what's funny about this? When I pulled up this article, when I checked it earlier this morning, it was only down like 1,500. I remember since I got off work, it actually got a little bit worse. And so President Trump's sweeping tariff announcement Wednesday triggered a sharp drop in U.S. stock markets, a flashing red warning sign of the economic fallout that's expected to result from the widening trade war. It was the worst day in 5 years for the broadcast market stock index, S&P 500, which fell 4.8%. Dow fell... NASDAQ fell 5.97. Dow Jones fell 1,700 points, or almost 4%. And Trump has ordered a minimum 10% tax on nearly all imports starting this weekend, with much higher tariffs on goods from dozens of countries, including some of the United States' closest allies. Imports from the European Union will face a 20% tariffs. Japanese goods will be taxed at 24%. And predictably, the stock market has reflected this. And we always talk about how the stock market isn't necessarily an indicator of how good the economy is for your average person. But when the stock market tanks, it does affect the average person, the economy. It's a horrible situation that we have to read it. And Republicans crowed for years about the stock market, even though it was high under Biden, which is funny that they said that, Biden's ruining the economy, he's tanking it, Trump's going to take over this, price is going to drop. Everything has gotten worse economically since Trump's in office. And they don't seem to care. I'd say, what have you seen from this so far?
Twitter, because that's where I live. That's where my home is. I'm a doom scroller through and through. And it's actually so funny. Not even just Twitter, but the real life reactions to this is what's most interesting, because I have coworkers who are, a baseline decent people. They're nice. They're good coworkers who voted for Trump, right? Who are still continuously, like, no matter how bad things get, because every week there's something new with the Trump administration that I'll bring up. I'll be like, you see what your man's did? And they will find every new way to twist it around to something positive, in a way that is, like, to me, entirely illogical. It more than just illogical, it is damn near like a form of psychosis in and of itself. What I've been seeing, how Trumpers are able to convince themselves that all of these policies are actually good. The most recent I've seen from these tariffs is, and I'm sure you guys have seen this a lot too, the good, because it'll make companies use American manufacturers, and it will force the economy to buy American and everything American this. And I find that so funny, because the idea that corporations would, as a result of having to pay higher prices on importing these things that they manufacture overseas, would switch to manufacturing in the United States instead of just increasing prices like fuck it I would do, is crazy. Like any regular person would do, is insane to me. That's just my thoughts. I don't have anything else to say other than we're only, what is it, like 4 months in, 4 months into the Trump presidency. We're not even half of 1 year of a full 4-year term, dude. We're fucked. It's so bad.
Fucked, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all so bad. I'm actually, I feel like accelerationism is our best shot at this point, because like, what's going to take for people to learn this lesson? You know, how many times they have to get their dick stuck in the fucking mousetrap before they stop trying to fuck the cheese? Like, I just don't understand how the people, and I'm not even saying like normal people, normal people, you know what, you're gonna feel this very soon, like you're gonna get it. But like, even if you're just like looking at like, all the finance guys are starting to jump off the fucking skyscrapers. Maybe this is going to be bad for me. Like, I don't understand how people are looking at this and going like, even the explanation that Trump gives doesn't make any sense. We're going to make this shit here. Why? We have 4% unemployment. Who the fuck is going to do that? You know who's selling us all these goods? It's the fucking poor countries. You know why they're poor? Because they're selling us the cheap fucking goods. Because they're buying our fucking expensive services and softwares and technologies and products, the stuff that Americans are good at making. And then we sell those things to countries that aren't good at making them, and they have to make the poor shit. And it's called comparative advantage. And we both get the best of both worlds at the cheapest prices, because we're good at making airplanes and they're good at making shoes. I don't want to be making the shoes. I'd rather be making the airplanes. I don't know about you, DJ.
Well, so what everyone needs to keep in mind here, this is vitally important when discussing the reaction of Trump supporters to Trump's disastrous tariff policies, is that Trump supporters love Donald Trump because he is just as dumb as they are. That is very important in trying to figure this out, because did you guys see the quartering? I don't know if you guys know what the quartering is. I'm not too familiar with them, but I've heard of these. Conservative content creator.
They were big a long time. I feel like they got nuked or something.
Yes, quartering.
Like I remember them. They're terrible, but I haven't seen them.
Big culture war 2016 to 2020. He was big in the space. Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and he wrote this in response to Trump's tariffs. You do not need the new iPad. You do not need the new cell phone. You do not need the new video game console. You want them. There's a big difference. And if you look at the people whining about the tariffs, I challenge you to ask them how their lives have been affected in any way. This is insane. It is incredible to see how conservatives have switched their entire point of view into, wow, this is the greatest nation in the world, and I can't afford to buy anything, to, well, actually, maybe you shouldn't buy anything, and say, oh, so the poisonous culture of anti-intellectualism and distrusting anyone is now playing off with conservatives to finance. Now it's like, oh, you trust these experts in the financial field? You trust when could we ever trust these guys? It's like, okay, nothing is real to you guys anymore, and it's not going to matter. It's no matter how absurd this gets, they're going to stick with Trump. They're going to love him because, as we said before, it was never about the price of eggs. It never was. It was all about their cultural superiority and hurting people. And they don't care if they get hurt as long as the other people get hurt, to the point where it gets absurd. We're going to get into the more absurd. Actually, everything about this is absurd. But a few episodes ago, when we were talking about the tariffs, one thing I pointed out, and I want to talk to everyone about in this one, is the de minimis exemption that Trump got rid of. And for those of you who aren't aware what de minimis is when it refers to tariffs, de minimis is a threshold upon which goods have a dollar value that goods have to reach for the tariff to be charged. So let's say you're importing from Canada. Now you want to ship something from Canada, and the de minimis is like $50. I don't know. If you try to ship something that's $20, they won't charge the tariff. But now they will, on anything. Meaning that if your grandmother lives in Toronto and she sends you a postcard for your birthday or something, there will be a tariff charged on that postcard. Like, that is how he got rid of the minimis for Canada, Mexico, and China. So no matter how small the object is, if it costs $3 to ship, you're going to pay a 27% or 50% tariff. It's insane.
So and all imports from these countries,
no matter how small it is, and they're going to defend it. They're going to defend it. They have to, because Trump is their Lord and Savior, and they're incapable of saying, okay, well, maybe that was a bad idea. Like this major one. I don't know.
Just, Ate, even if it was made by a penguin, they're going to charge 10% on it. As two islands that are only inhabited by penguins have a 10% tariff on them as well.
Of course they do. This
is so clearly. I can't stress this enough. Even if you believe in what Donald Trump is selling, even if you fundamentally disagree with virtually every single economist on earth and think that America having an entirely self-made insular industry is going to be good for Americans, even if you believe that, you must look at the way that Trump is doing this and be like, that's stupid. Clearly, the people who are charging tariffs on uninhabited islands aren't the most detail-oriented. Clearly, the people who just divided, what was it? The way they calculated these tariffs was that they, hold on, I got this specifically.
Yeah.
The way that they came up with these tariffs, they're talking about how these are reciprocal tariffs. They're based on the tariffs that, you know, are given to us, and people were quick to point out that's not true, just looking at what the tariff rates from these other countries are. And what they did to determine it was they just took all the countries in the world and they said the nation's trade deficit with us divided by the nation's exports to us. That is how they determine this. And if you don't believe me, here is a graph doing this formula and charting every single nation's tariff rate. It is exactly.
Oh, wow.
This is how it was calculated. And wait, it gets worse because this genius here, his name is Kush Desai. Kush Desai is a deputy press secretary for the White House, right? And he said that that's incorrect. And he gave us this formula. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys by reading what this says, but essentially, it says exactly that with Greek numbers added. This is the tariff rate, the change in tariff rate. This is our trade deficit, our exports to their country minus their exports to our country, divided by, well, this is their exports to our country again. So these three things are exactly what I just said. What are these two random letters here, E and Y? What do they mean? Oh, they mean some complicated things. Let E represent the elasticity of imports and let Y represent, I don't know what he said Y does. I don't even know what all these words mean in context, right? But I can do the math here, right? I can see what things mean if we substitute numbers for them. And in the next section of this thing that he did not screenshot in response to this, it clearly states that the price of elasticity isn't a variable. It's just 4. And the elasticity of import prices with respect to tariffs is 0.25. So this letter is 4 multiplied by 1/4 to the geniuses out there. That equals 1. 1 times exports equals the exports. It is just the imports minus the exports divided by the exports. These guys think you are the dumbest people in the world, and if they just put some fancy looking words in front of you, you're not going to understand what it means. That is what the Trump administration is telling to Republicans out there, and the Republicans are going, well, I guess I'll just be the dumb one.
Yeah. I mean, why not though, right? I mean, they're already dumb, and so they have this sort of demagogue figure, this messianic guy saying, I'll do the thinking for you. Hey, just, you don't even have to think, dead ass, you don't even have to think about anything. Why would you not just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go whatever what he says? Because the thing is, and this is what I've learned about Republicans and conservatives and the Trump, especially the Trump voters, is that they want to be sold this lie. They want very badly to believe these things, and when you want to believe something, you're going to, you know what I mean? Like when you, and not just like a conscious, like I kind of want to, but they truly deeply in their hearts want to believe. And I know this from having conversations with coworkers that were Trump supporters, but like in every other aspect of their life, you know, when it comes to like being a human being, they're good people, you know, they're nice, they're respectful, they're, you know, generally intelligent. But when it comes to Trump, his policies and the defense of those policies, they in their hearts want to believe the lies, and so they're going to, and it's really, really difficult as leftists to combat that with logic, because that's not really how people work. That's just not how any of this works. And so it's actually one of the issues that I've seen, with a lot of leftists when we try. That's why I don't even argue with people on Twitter no more, when it comes to Trumpers, because we're getting into verifiable, objective, as in non-opinion, very simple, concrete facts that Trumpers will refuse to acknowledge. They're not trying to argue. It's a religion for them.
It essentially is a religion. It's gonna, and that, I think this is crossing over to another story we're going to cover, but I feel like I can't not mention this, in that, like, we kind of see this in elections where Trump doesn't participate, in which the turnout isn't in the Republicans' favor. Like, you need Trump there. These folks aren't getting off the couch for anyone other than Donald Trump. And the religion thing is perfect, because I mean, whatever he says, they're going for. It does matter. It's like, how long has he been talking about tariffs? And we've been screeching for months on the top of our lungs saying, listen, a tariff is not a tax on a foreign nation. That's not how it works at all. This is a tax on importers. And so American businesses are going to be paying these taxes. Yeah, it's not a direct tax on you, but these importers are not going to eat that cost out of the goodness of their heart and just sell it regular to everyone else. And even if they raise the price, it's not like American businesses are going to keep, or American producers are going to keep their prices the same when they could raise it. Why wouldn't they? I would. I mean, you wouldn't be in the capitalism game if you wouldn't do that. So it's going to punish all the workers all around. And like John said, if the goal is to bring manufacturing jobs or production back here to the United States, who's going to do these jobs? Unemployment's like at 4%, and the time it takes to actually get the infrastructure for this is going to take a long time. And businesses, I gotta say, I don't know what everyone's going to do here, but like Nike, I saw like the tax they have like in Southeast Asia and everything. Nike isn't just going to uproot and move all their production to the United States. Production. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They'll say, okay, well, we can, because if they did, what if the tariff goes away 3 years from now? They can just move back. They're not going to risk doing that. So it's just nonsense. I wanted to pull out what John talked about with the eye. He wasn't joking. Right here, it's like,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. If you Justin Wolfers wrote here, impressed the crack White House economic team not only found the herd in McDonald Islands, an uninhabited Australian territory, which is a 2-week sail from the mainland requiring a permit to visit, but that they managed to figure out the optimal retaliatory tariff to impose on the penguins. Yeah. So there's a 10% tariff on the herd McDonald Islands. So, I don't know what penguins could possibly produce, but we're going to be paying for that shit. So yeah, wow. I just with the Trump voters and everything, I have dismissed all of them right now. I've grown quite tired of seeing videos of the 1 or 2 people every now and then who will say, oh, wow, I guess Trump is a bad guy because I got fired from my job and now I don't like him anymore. Fuck you. You did not mind that Trump was going to punish all those other people. You heard this man talk for 10 years. You know what you were voting for. And you thought that he was going to go after the bad people, the Venezuelan immigrants, the trans folks, the college professors. But you were part of the group of people Trump really loved, government workers. You thought you'd be fine. You didn't think you would get fired. So don't expect me to have sympathy for, because you didn't have sympathy for anyone else. So I'd say I agree. Like, I don't know what to do now. Like, the best thing, we just got to ride this out, because there's no convincing these people at this point.
There's nothing I try as a leftist to have hope, dude, but it is not seeming even remotely possible that we can break even 1% of the Trumpers out of whatever mind control that they've been induced into. It really seems like one of those situations where we focus on, consolidating power, consolidating, unity within the people that are already sort of progressive, leftists, whatever word you want to use, as opposed to trying to convince anybody else to leave the cult of Trump. It doesn't work. The cult has only gotten more powerful. We voted him in. He won. He took the W. That's crazy to me. That is still something I'm trying very hard to wrap my mind around. He just won. And so, what do we do now? Not a damn thing. Sit and wait. Sit and wait.
So, John, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, that's the thing. We have to sit, we have to wait. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that we need to internalize right fucking now. In 2008, the last time we went through dumb fucking financial shit ruining our country, and let me be very clear, this is way dumber than that. This
way
is dumb.
dumber.
This is
way
dumb on a scale
dumber.
unprecedented in modern history. Nothing like this has ever, nothing so dumb has ever been done on such a large scale as this.
Mm-hmm.
We can't allow people to pretend like they didn't support this.
Yep.
We saw what happened when we just believed Republicans that they were cool with gay people now. They just switched to trans people. They used all the same arguments, all the same bigotry, and just went to trans people. And they got upset when there was pushback against that because they didn't actually learn their lesson. They just learned, oh, it's not okay to say these things now. They never understood why. They never understood why Republicans were bad under the Bush presidency that led directly to the 2008 global financial crisis that ruined so many lives, both here and all over the world. They never learned that lesson. They just learned they couldn't say some things anymore. And when we added to that list, they got pissed about it, and boom, we're right back to where we were before. There's going to be a moment. Here's where I disagree with you guys. This is unsustainable. There's going to be the true believers that never stop believing. But
sure,
it's going to get very, very, very bad for a lot of people. And it's going to become undeniable. Again, remember, the vast majority of Trump voters have no idea what the fuck is going on. They're low information voters. They do not understand it. They did not think he was going to do this. And even if they did, they didn't know what it actually meant. And so when it slaps them in the fucking face, we can't, like, we need to accept them with open arms in the sense that we need to be ready to take them and show them a better way. But we need to make damn fucking sure that the Republican Party is eradicated from the fucking root. Every single Republican that has gone along with this needs to be eradicated from public life. They can't be allowed to continue existing and continue to spread this bullshit. This needs to be the moment that we just wipe the ideological slate clean, because there will never be a better opportunity for it.
So, John, my question is, why would you believe them this time? Like, if you just talked about how, well, they said they were cool with gay people. Oh, they lied because they lost and they were embarrassed. And then they say, oh, we're cool with Trump. And then Trump fucks everything as, oh, actually, I wasn't cool with Trump. I can't stop them from voting correctly. I hope they do. But someone who's been like, I saw a video of this lady who lost her job somewhere in Washington, and she was complaining that I didn't think Trump would do this. I thought he'd get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse, but I didn't expect that he would fire me. And it's like, the lady I saw looked well over the age of 19, and 19 is my unofficial and rather generous cutoff for anyone who voted in last year's election. Like, well, who's this Donald Trump guy? I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't paid attention to anything over 10 years. And it's like, okay, fine, maybe you didn't know. Everyone else knew enough. And so, sure, they may change their mind, but like, they changed their mind on George Bush and they just went to Donald Trump. I don't expect these people to well, all right, I will make caveat here. The only people who that would apply to, like you said, people who just weren't politically engaged, people who voted for Trump because, oh, he's the celebrity guy. And those people aren't voting at all. Like, I don't think those people are voting for anyone other than Trump. But I think 90% of these folks, I wouldn't trust them at all. Not at this point.
So this is what I'm saying, TJ. This is what I'm saying, because you're like, why would you believe them? There's two separate answers to this. One, you don't need to attack them from the top. Like, what we've talked about this all the time, TJ. Democrats need to just start running Republican primaries. Just
I agree.
Sweep them out. Run whatever dumb fucking platform you want. Get a fucking nomination, and then just switch. John Fetterman did it to us. Why can't we do it to them? You know, like just do that on a mass scale. These people are too dumb to win otherwise, right? Just do that. Get them out of Congress. Just eliminate them. It really wouldn't be all that difficult with the massive blue wave we are going to see. Like, it should be pretty easy to forget 2008. Forget the 2008 supermajority. I want to see 70 plus seats in the and I'm not even fucking joking. Like, that should be the goal. And again, you're laughing. But here goes to the second part of the question. I don't think anyone is fully allowing themselves to comprehend how bad this is going to get. We are 2 months in, and we're already going to shit. It's so quick. I couldn't even have predicted how rapidly. Like, he has exceeded my expectations for how quickly he would be fucking up so badly. It's not just 2008 where it's like, oh, we know everything is bad, but no one really understands why. We need to wait until like 2012 for that guy to come out with a movie to explain it to everyone. Like this is pretty clear shit. This is shit that you can get across to the average American of like, yeah, guys, tariff bad. Global trade good. It's not that complicated, and you just need to hammer it over and over and over and over again. We did it with fucking the Nazis, right? Like, the Nazis were just persona non grata. You could not do, if anything, even resembled them for the next 80 years, 80, maybe a little less than 80. You at least had 60 years where you could anything that smelled like a Nazi was dead on the water. And that is what we need to do to Donald Trump. And that is how bad it is going to get. It's going to get to those levels. And people just don't want to admit that, but it's going there.
I think it is going to be. I think I fully agree. I probably am not even grasping how bad it's going to be. You
can't. We've never lived through it. We do not have a point of reference.
It is going to be. And this every single step of the way, this has been the most unprecedented administration in United States history. Like this. Donald Trump is doing things with every single executive action, is doing things that we have never even imagined a president could do. It's actually unbelievable. However, maybe this is, a difference of hope, but I think we underestimate the cult of personality and the stubbornness of the majority of right-wingers in this country. Those people are, at least to me, unlikely to switch in any meaningful way. Sure, they might acknowledge the damage that has been done as a result of these tariffs, because they'll have no choice but to acknowledge it. It will materially affect their lives. However, as we saw with that quartering tweet, as I've seen on tweets every single day, with every single executive order and everything bad thing that Trump has done so far, there will be a large group of people that have enough cognitive dissonance to reframe this to either blame the Democrats or say it's actually good. And the thing that Trump has built now that won him the presidency, in my opinion, is an incredible network of communicators that will communicate this to the masses. He has Elon, who owns Twitter, which is now a right-wing cesspool. Ugh. He has now, I mean, what he did, when I saw all the people that attended his inauguration, I knew insofar as like the media went, communication, social media, he got it. Oracle, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, these are all billionaires that have aligned themselves with Trump in some meaningful way. And these are all people that are capable of shifting the conversations around politics, and boosting people like Joe Rogan, people like who's even popular now. Like I know is
what the Logan
Dave Rubin,
the
Logan Pauls, whatever, like the Milo Yiannopoulos isn't popular anymore, but
God, he was awful, wasn't he? Yeah.
God, he was the worst. What's that one guy that lives in Malaysia that always talks about
Ian Miles Chong? Yeah,
Ian Miles Chong, right?
That girl from The Wire, she left. What was her name?
I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember.
The point is,
Brett Cooper. That's her name.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The point is, as long as those people exist and have the backing of these big billionaires, these big corporations to reframe this narrative in favor of Trump, I don't think we will even see 10% of the base move away in any meaningful way. Sure, they'll they'll take it to the chin, is what I'm saying. They'll take this to the chin, and then you know what? They're gonna keep on keeping on. They're gonna keep on with Trump.
So, all right, I think third option. I agree with that. I think the best case scenario we have here is a George W. Bush style situation. That is the best case scenario we have here, in which I can see things getting so bad that people are forced to admit, like, okay, well, clearly it's hard to blame this on the Democrats who weren't in power or some faceless global elite. And Trump We can track everything he did, and it was awful. And okay, maybe Trump was bad, but what I think we're going to end up is what we see now with like Mike fucking Pence. Like I saw these tweets by Mike Pence have been blowing my mind. Where Mike Pence says the Trump tariff tax is the largest peacetime tax in U.S. history. These tariffs are nearly 10 times those imposed during the Trump-Pence administration and will cost American families $3,500 a year. And then he had another one. I pulled it up. Where is it? Right, I think it's right here. Yeah, right here. 69%. Nice. 69% of Americans in this Fox News poll are right. Tariffs on imports will make products more expensive. So you have a couple of, now Mike Pence is like, his career is over ever since he dared to stand against Trump. But I think that the best case scenario we can possibly hope for these folks who voted for Trump and they're all in and say, okay, well, the problem was Donald Trump. And the Republicans have already, like, there's a few Republicans in the Senate, Rand Paul, one of them saying, well, actually, tariffs are bad. We shouldn't do this. We should try to claw this power back. I don't think that they're going to realize, oh, right-wing framing of political and economic issues is the problem. I don't see any hope for that at all. John, you mentioned that, I think you said the accelerationists were correct or something like that, but I think accelerationism is just the default. Like there's nowhere to go.
We have no choice. But
there's no choice. Like we're going
there's nowhere to go but forward. Therefore, we might as well go as fast as possible.
There's no hope here. It's going to get really bad.
Ate said a couple things there that's going to make an excellent segue into our next topic, because I do have, as usual, a silver lining of hope to share with you. Because Ate, you mentioned a couple of people like Joe Rogan. You mentioned, social media, like, Meta, Google, Oracle, they were all there at the Trump inauguration. Yeah. Let me tell you something, Ate. Joe Rogan cracked for the first time this week and said that I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, it was horrific that
I can find the clip
was sent to El Salvador without due process. Yes. And like, Joe Rogan was upset about that. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, he should renounce his support. And I'm like, yes, he should. But it's good. Directionally, we should cheer this on. You mentioned Google, all these tech companies. Did you see how far the NASDAQ was down, Ate? How far do you think these stock prices can fall until you start seeing them come out against the administration? And let me tell you, it's not going to be all that fucking long. These shareholders do not like seeing those numbers, and they will fucking revolt. So those are two parts of it. And if you want to hear the last thing I'm going to say, make sure you like and subscribe right now, because we're done with this video, and you better be here tomorrow when the next one drops.
Nice. Very good. That was a good one, John. Since it's tomorrow now.
This is tomorrow now. This is tomorrow now. Welcome back to the left wing. We just segued. We were talking about the silver linings of all the chaos going on right now. And Ate had brought up Elon Musk and how he has this stranglehold on communication with the ownership of Twitter, and that like he's getting this message out there to a lot of people. And that's correct, Ate. That's why he's in the position he is now. But we're already seeing that start to implode spectacularly. And I am not, this is not the first time I'm saying this on this show. Elon Musk is one of the largest liabilities in Trump's circle, because he doesn't have the same sort of protections that like real cabinet officials have. And he's way more reckless than the rest of them. And that even includes Pete Hegseth, which is fucking saying something. And he spent, what was it, TJ?
$25 million.
$25 million on the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, which he said was an existential threat to Western civilization.
Oh my God, I just want Western civilization shit.
Pop up how this went for the Republicans. I'm not a huge math expert, but that doesn't look good. All of those arrows seem to be pointed up and to the left, basically like Elon Musk's arm was at the inauguration.
Oh, and very good.
This was, and if you look at the exit polling, you look at everything that went down. He spent that money, and he basically created like 3 times as much free press against the Republican candidate, because people hate Elon Musk that much. People showed up to just say fuck you to Elon Musk in a goddamn special state Supreme Court election. There were counties that had higher voter turnouts than the actual presidential election back in November. That is how bad this was. And there's already rumblings, like Trump said, oh, Elon's going to be taking a step back. He's not going to be around as much. He is cancer. He's fucking cancer now in electoral politics. And I bet you he's not going to just ride off gently into the good night. He's going to stick around, and he's going to pull this administration down by their own bootstraps. And it is something that's going to be spectacular to watch. TJ, what was your reaction to this? I know it's a special election in Wisconsin. I know it's not that important. It's more so what it signals for electoral politics moving forward.
Oh, it's always fun to watch Elon Musk lose. I like seeing Elon Musk is he's the most insecure man baby that we have in the national spotlight, and showing that no matter how much money and power and influence you have, if you don't have the security in here, it doesn't really mean anything. Like watching Elon Musk is also the least cool person alive. I don't know. I feel like, I feel like if I had $1 billion, I would, like in Goodfellas. Perfect. You guys are perfect for this. But in Goodfellas, when Henry is talking about Paulie, he says, Paulie may have moved slow. That's because Paulie didn't have to move for anybody. That would be me if I had $1 billion, let alone hundreds of billions of dollars. I would just be this chill and everything. But no, Elon Musk is begging for attention. He was in Wisconsin getting people riled up for this speech. Did you see he was wearing the cheesehead hat and dancing around on stage? And watching him do that and debase himself like that and spend all that money, bribe people to attend these events, and just to get trounced. And the funny thing is, it's hard to say that Elon wasn't the primary factor here, because there were other elections that took place in Wisconsin. There wasn't only the Supreme Court election. They also had a referendum for the state constitution about voter ID. That won. Like the Republicans won that one. The one that Elon Musk didn't talk about. So I have no choice but to acknowledge that Elon Musk tanked that. Now, I'm not saying the Republican would have won, but the fact that the Republicans won one race and lost the other, and Elon was publicly involved in that one, makes me think, people are sick of Elon. How about you, Watson? What do you think?
Elon is probably one of the most interesting people I've ever seen in my life, because I cannot for the life of me imagine that he's a real person, because he doesn't even try to not look like what happens affects him. Like he doesn't even try to not be as insecure as he is. It is baffling. It is baffling for the richest person on the planet to be on stages talking about some chainsaw of democracy. Like does he? I don't think he hears himself. The video that made me realize he actually might be AI generated is in that same, he's like, comedy's dead, man. Legalize comedy. Legalize comedy. What? And so he is. And I never thought I'd be saying this in the year, in the era of the Trump administration, in the era of Donald Trump, and the real sort of pompousness and ridiculousness of political theater reaching its zenith. I never thought in my life I would say that I found a political figure more just openly ridiculous than Donald Trump. And at the very least, Donald Trump is openly ridiculous in a way that morbidly can be considered funny. Like it's still ultimately like you hear him talk and you're like, I wish you were the host of a reality TV show. You'd be much better at that than this. Elon Musk has, without a doubt, the least charisma of any public figure I think I've ever seen. And it's like, it's not even just no charisma like a Ted Cruz. It's like negative charisma. It's like worse, infinitely worse. And so it makes absolute sense that he would tank that. He would have tanked that a special election. And I think that he will be on his way out, but I don't think that makes him any less dangerous. And I don't think that makes him any less of a threat to the democracy and to like the actual like foundation of this country, because ultimately, as goofy as he is, even he's still largely aligned with Trump. Like I don't see him not being aligned with Trump, at least in the ways that are most important. What do you guys say?
The worst thing that could happen to us is if Elon Musk shut the fuck up. Like if Elon Musk acted like a regular evil super billionaire and just funded all this shit without putting himself out there, he'd be a lot more effective. And so it's hard to say.
Then what's in it for Elon Musk, TJ?
Exactly.
He doesn't care. He just wants the attention.
I disagree.
Really?
That is a statement I disagree with.
Really?
I think Elon Musk would be a lot better if he was just an evil billionaire. I think he's arguably the most dangerous billionaire right now, next to, I always forget the owner of Oracle's name, but that guy's truly the devil. But Elon Musk is, I think, more dangerous because of how sort of like temperamental and insecure and rash he is, specifically because he's cultivated an atmosphere, a culture around social media. It's not even just X, but TikTok, Instagram. He's cultivated his culture around social media that is centered around being as annoying as fucking humanly possible. He's made humans worse. He's made humanity worse as a result of his behavior. And that's not something I can say for like somebody like Bezos or,
Larry Ellison,
Zuckerberg, or Larry Ellison. Thank you.
Thank you.
But that's not something I can say for either of those guys. They've made the world worse in some really significant ways. So has Elon. But the only difference between them and Elon is because they've made people worse. Elon has made people worse and the American culture worse in much more of a serious way than I think really any billionaire has. I don't know.
Do you think that's sustainable though? Because like to me, Elon has made being cringe and being a Nazi publicly representable and publicly accepted. I think there's a very limited shelf life on that. I've seen things a lot cooler than that die off.
Swing back so
I think that like 5 years from now it'll be super embarrassing to be an Elon Musk fanboy. Yeah, I do. Because I just don't see this going on. I just don't, especially when he does shit like this. I had to pull this shit up here, but this is
okay.
This is an interview that Elon Musk had on Fox News. And Brett Baer asked him some kind of question like, what keeps you up at night? And I love how long he takes to answer this question. And his answer is not going to shock you.
What's the biggest thing for you that keeps you up at night?
He's such a dweeb.
Well, there's a lot of things I suppose that I worry about, but and some of these things will seem esoteric to people. The birth rate is very low in almost every country, and it's something, unless that changes, civilization will disappear. America had the lowest birth rate, I believe, ever. That was last year. Places like Korea, the birth rate is 1/3 replacement rate. So that means in 3 generations, Korea will be 3 or 4% of its current size. And nothing seems to be turning that around. Humanity is dying.
Oh my God.
All right. There was like a 12-second pause between him asking that question and Elon. He rattled his brain. And the best answer he could come up with, not enough babies out there. That's fucking weird. That is a weird thing. And he's obsessed with it. And
he's been obsessed with it for years.
For a long time. Yeah. And now no one's going to stop him from talking about it. And it's awful strange. He's like, well, places like America, South Korea, there are places with birth rates that are stable or rising, but he doesn't mean those places, folks. Those aren't the ones that's a bad thing, that those places are having more babies. And someone please tell me, these folks, why do these folks have the same idea with like humanity as they seem to do with capitalism? Like, one of the main critiques of capitalism is that it's a flawed system inherently because it's built upon the concept of infinite growth, that you can always grow. This quarter has to be better than last. Next quarter better be higher than this one. And they think the same thing about people. It's like, we've never had 8.5 billion people on the planet before. If we have fewer than 8.5 billion, we'll be fine. We managed to do well without it. But Elon Musk seems to think, wow, the numbers are going down. Society can't survive. Yet will. We'll do just fine. Like, that's creepy and weird. And that's only one thing. So I don't know. I think Elon keeps talking shit like this and the weird Nazi memes and the concerning stuff. I just can't see him being cool in a couple of years, a couple election cycles. What do you think, John?
So there is well, first of all, I want to say it would have been, if he was funny, like if he was actually a funny person, and he was proposed the question, what keeps you up at night? He would have gone, ketamine.
Yeah,
just answer the question very literally.
That'd be great.
That would have been very funny. Of course, he isn't actually funny, so he didn't do that. But two, a lot of these conservative, especially alt-right narratives, are based on a kernel of truth. And I'm going to give Elon a little bit of credit here.
Okay.
He's definitely right about South Korea. South Korea is fucked. South Korea is very, very fucked. You're right, TJ. On a global level, if we go from 8 billion people to 7 billion people over the course of a couple generations, it's not a fucking problem. But when you look at like South Korea, he's right. That's a place that is very, and we talked about this on the show before. How like they're trying to have like
weird solutions,
very weird solutions, like putting younger girls
in school,
like in higher grades, so that they get laid earlier, you know, and like it is true. Here's the difference. Here's the thing. What a lot of these people like Trump is doing right now with like the tariffs and everything, he's copying like Belay down in Argentina, where it's like, oh, we got to tear down the economy before we can build it back up again. And it's like in Argentina, that does at least make some sort of sense, where the economy is actually in desperate need of restructuring, and you need some short-term pain in order to get it going again. That is not the case in America, because we have the world's strongest economy. So why the fuck would we tear it down? That doesn't make any sense. Same thing with our declining birth rates. Yeah, we have declining birth rates of people who are living here. But you know what South Korea would fucking chop their dick off for in order to get? Our fucking immigration. Like, immigration would solve South Korea's problem 1,000%. Unfortunately, they aren't structured that way. Their culture is entirely culturally homogenous. They all speak Korean, which is a language not spoken outside of Korea very often. Here, we have all the benefits. We have millions of people who want to come here. We could accept people of all different languages and be able to have them
and
live
there are communities for them, and like there's a community for every type of person in the U.S.
Exactly. Declining birth rates will never hurt the U.S. unless what you mean by declining birth rates isn't an actual demographic shift problem. It's a racial shift problem. And that's where Elon Musk gets it. He's like, oh, guys, look, declining birth rates. That is a problem, right? We all agree. So, like, we got to make sure we force the women to have babies. It's like, no, fuck no. We just need to make sure we have enough workers. And luckily, they all want to come here. What's your... Oh, that's your problem with that, Elon. And that's where all of these fucking right-wing fucking...
Oh, yeah.
Not even a conspiracy theory. It's just taking a kernel of truth and stretching it until you get to a final solution. They do it every fucking time.
It's not even like he's hiding it that much, because I you know, and I don't quote me on this, but I swear I've seen him either repost, comment on, or like tweets that allude to the idea that white people are being replaced. Not even allude, but just
no, he's straight up. I'm pretty sure he said that he believes in white I know Tucker Carlson said it, and I think he promoted it.
Yes, I'm almost certain that Elon has promoted it. So it's like, it's very openly his idea. Like the problem with the low birth rates is that there are less white people, and he's scared that more brown people are going to start existing. And that's something, interestingly enough, that is an ideological position that he's been consistent with even before his great right-wing shift. He's always been a weird like birth rate guy, and more importantly, his relationship with this low birth rate thing has always screamed main character. Like, even how he answered that fucking question got on my nerves, because he did exactly what a character that I'm writing in this sci-fi movie about saving the world would do. Take a really long time, think deeply. We're gonna lose civilization. Like, he's such a dork. He swears he's the main character, and that's something I think that is like the foundation for all of his actions. He genuinely believes that he's the guy here that is meant to change the world, and that's what makes him so fucking scary. That's what makes him so dangerous, because there isn't anything he won't do so long as he believes that.
Oh, look, that's true, Ate. I like Ate plugging his book here. I love this. I love that. This is content. I love that. It's great. We know the game, folks. Colby said something I was going to mention, that a lot of declining birth rate comes from less teen pregnancies. It's why the trad wife married with kids at 18 to 20 is being pushed so hard. Colby, you beat me to it. I was going to mention this, that the number one reason that we have this declining birth rate in the United States is that teenage girls are not having babies anymore. And and it wasn't just people.
By the way, guys, this isn't this is proven by data.
This is real.
If you look at the birth rates for like women between 25 and 40, they've declined by like 10% or something like that. It's the teen birth rates that have
wow.
Yeah. And so we have spent, I mean, conservatives and liberals seem to agree on this idea. Well, 15-year-old girls having babies is bad, right? We can all kind of not quarrel and bicker about this, that this leads to a worse life for the kid, worse life for the mom, possibly worse life for the dad. I mean, it's like nothing. There are no winners here when we have kids in 9th grade having children, and we haven't stopped it completely, but we've essentially put a stop to it. And now they're freaking out. Well, and that's why that story in South Korea, I guess we tell you guys what we're talking about. South Korea, their solution, one of their proposed solutions, they haven't done this, one of their proposed solutions to have more kids is essentially to get more teenage girls pregnant. And what they want to do is have girls who are 16 years old. Well, girls go to school 2 years earlier than boys. So that, say you're a girl who's 16, you're going to be in class with a boy who's 18. And they figure that, oh, well, girls will usually, be with a boy who's a little bit older than them. And that'll encourage them to have sex and get married. And that way we'll solve the problem. You get to some weird shit when you refuse to uncouple yourself from our capitalistic mindset of let's do all we can to help support these families. Like having a kid shouldn't be a death sentence to the rest of your life ambitions and everything. And I was I hope I found this article here, but I was reading about Elon Musk's dad, Elon Musk. And this article, Elon Musk's father suggests having babies should be more like breeding horses. Elon Musk, yeah. So it comes from like his old man. His old man feels the same way, that, yeah, we need to repopulate the world, getting as many people out there as we can, to the extent that he fucked his own stepdaughter. And Elon Musk has Elon Musk's dad, Elon Musk, married this lady and adopted her 2-year-old daughter. And they got divorced years later. But now, 25 years afterward, he's had sex with that 2-year-old girl that he adopted all those years ago, and has 2 kids by her. And there's a super dark, hilarious article about it. John and I covered it on the show, where Elon Musk is talking about it. He says, yeah, I forget Elon's brother's name, but he's like, yeah, Elon and his brother, the boys, they weren't too happy about it. Oh, really? Really? You think that may have bothered them just a little bit, Elon Musk? And it was a weird thing. And John and I were talking, it's like, that's the guy that raised Elon Musk. Elon Musk makes a lot more sense now. Like if his dad was that fucking psychotic on top of being, an apartheid, supporter and everything, it makes sense why Elon's as fucked up as he is.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes so much sense. And I'd be hard pressed to find a billionaire, like not even a billionaire, but a right wing figure that doesn't seem to have had a childhood where you examine it and you're like, oh, fair enough. You know what I mean? Like, all right, then.
Makes a lot of sense. Like Donald Trump and his relationship with his dad and everything.
I was like, absolutely.
It all fits into place. Okay, I wanted to ask you guys this here. I should have brought this up the first segment, but it's hard to connect this to anything. But you guys are into.
Before we jump into this, TJ,
sure.
while we're in the in between, I just wanted to specifically say to Colby, I see what you're doing. Colby comments things that I've talked about on Threads and knows it'll get our attention. Because he told me he follows me on Threads, like it was last year or something. I see what you're doing, Colby, and I just want to let you know it will work. It will work every fucking time. Keep doing it.
Keep it up, Colby. Keep it up. We applaud your work, good sir, or ma'am. I don't know, Colby. So,
or ma'am.
And so you guys are into film and everything like that. I'm a bit of a layman myself into the whole thing. I'm a lot less, cultured, but one thing that's been interesting to me is seeing Donald Trump has always been, he's a born showman. Like I respect the 100%. Hell out of his skill when it comes to entertaining a crowd. And in some ways it's helped with the production of like really slick ads, like in the music and everything and the prep. But other ways it comes off really weird because like now that they've gone all in on the fascism thing, it looks too creepy. Like I figured it would shut people off. Like those weird commercials they do with the El Salvador thing. And I saw Pam Bondi make some sort of presentation and it screamed Trump presentation. But this shit, I don't know, like there's just something strangely unsettling about it. Is it just me?
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. We've charged Cooper Frederick in the firebombing of a Tesla dealership that occurred on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado.
Okay, so is it just me, or does that seem like a weird, like, video game cutscene of an obvious bad guy? Doesn't it? Like, it's just it's
was
really
the most
unsettling.
Starship Troopers thing I ever seen. I was like, damn. That was propaganda for a Starship Troopers movie. The eye contact was very terrifying.
Here's the difference, though. I'll tell you. This is the thing that really stood out to me of this. I feel like the reason it looks off-putting, I've never seen this backdrop before. The lighting was all off. Her makeup, she wasn't ready, like for a TV spot. It seems like she almost looks either just fried or scared. Like, she looks different than she usually does. And the lighting looks like you said, the 90s video game. It looks like a 90s fucking shot right now. Like, and even what she's wearing, the aesthetics of that was incredibly 90s video on demand movie, like fucking Contra terrorists. That is exactly the vibes that we were getting. And yeah, I don't expect people to pick up on that in general, but I expect you to, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah. God.
It was strange. I actually love that you said the clothes too, because one of the things, in film theory is about, everything in the shot is equally important, right? From the clothes to the backdrop to the lighting to the actors' facial expressions, everything. And everything about that shot just communicated one idea, which was, this is scary. This is I'm looking in the face of fascism right now. That's the communication that I got from this shot. And I find that really interesting because that's obviously not intentional, right? It couldn't have been intentional on their part, but it was what that was portraying. And that could either be, because art is subjective. That could either be me reading into it. But it's also more than likely just one of those things where, subconsciously the makers behind this little TV spot are acting in a way, like sort of like presented it in a way that they felt was best. And there's these conversations being had in media about how there is an aesthetic of fascism. There is an aesthetic of the right, like the right wing does have an aesthetic. There is a very clear one, and it's starting to change a little bit nowadays, especially with that Jubilee video that came out with the right wing kids that looked like in 2012 they would have been like LGBT weird white kids. But there is an aesthetic of fascism, and that's something that's really at play here when we look at this. And not only that, but when we look at, like, you guys have been seeing the White House official White House like X account.
Yeah, I know.
That has been something really crazy. But yeah, really interesting that you pointed that out.
So one thing, you guys ever heard, like when we were on literature class and they talk about, well, the wind represents this and the clouds represent this, and people would always complain about that. And the phrase that people would always say is, sometimes the curtains are just blue. One of my favorite responses to this is that the curtains are literally never just blue. That is not a thing. They chose the color blue on purpose. And so when you're so it's right when John brought up the clothes, the clothes and the lighting, it all sends a message. And what I was going to ask you about today is, like, you don't think it was purposeful to send fear? Like, what did you like? Because I think it was. I think that's a good explanation.
That is true. That is true. I guess what I mean is, right, I'm associating, what I'm seeing from this image, not just as like general fear, but a very specific type of authoritarianism that to me feels incredibly dangerous. And I would hope for a lot of normal people would feel the same. And that's not something that I would think that they would consciously try to tap into. Sure, they would, try to draft a video that instills a sense of authority and fear in the wrongdoers. And you're probably right that those two things are probably one and the same, because obviously to the Trump administration, authority is the same thing as authoritarianism, right? Like those are the same thing. But I guess I have a hard time wrapping my mind around being openly fascist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around that being something that we're witnessing from this administration, that they're just like openly and very, very calmly, very, very confidently, like moving towards fascism.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think that I can surmise what you're kind of trying to get at here is that they aren't trying to have a fascist aesthetic. It's just the natural consequence of their mindset. And that makes it even scarier. As you mentioned, the White House Twitter account, you know, they tweeted this image, the Studio Ghibli, and oh my God, this is just, I think, did we talk about this on the show, TJ?
No, we didn't.
No, we did not. This is just one of those things that are disgusting, where it's just you're even, and people have pointed out that like this woman was like arrested, like she did have convictions for like fentanyl trafficking, which like sure, yeah, that's a bad thing. I do want fentanyl traffickers to be arrested, even if it is by Donald Trump, right? But to cartoonify the suffering of another person, no matter what they did, to do an online meme and have that come from the White House official communications, there's just something off-putting, bizarre, and disgusting about it. It really does. This could be the worst person in the world. I really don't give a shit. It's not right. It is morally abhorrent to take pleasure in the suffering of others. Maybe the suffering of others who have personally made you suffer. I think there's a lot of more quandaries that you want to unpack there, but at least I get it. But just random fucking strangers that never did anything to you, and you're enjoying seeing this AI generated meme of them crying. Like, oh my, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's some dark shit. And this also, you know, as bad as it is morally, it's also like one of those fall from grace things. It's like a couple episodes ago, we were talking about how, you know, say what you want about the Bush administration, but at least they had competent evil people like, you know, Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney, and now we have Pete Hegseth. You know, it's like it's been a definite decline in everything, even in the fascist aesthetics. Since you guys have been talking about it, because fascists are known for, you know, just like straight in your face, no nuance stuff. And this is like Starship Troopers type and everything. But it was also a parody. But if you look back into, you know, the 40s and 50s, like we always talk about how Hugo Boss made the Nazi uniforms. Like, okay, all right, you're going to tell me those aren't good looking uniforms? Like,
they had that shit on. They did.
Tight, right? It would look really good. And like fascist like insignias and everything always looks good. And this is kind of a weird tangent, but I always think that a good flag should remind you of like a fascist regime. And I think the best state flag, like by far, is the state flag of Arizona. I mean, look at that thing. That is a crisp looking flag. Right? I love it, right? That is a great, but
that's clean.
It does seem kind of fashy. Like that seems like a fascist government flag right there.
Yeah.
It does. And hey, you know what? It's we're on our way there, so why not?
It's like fascism, but South American flavor.
It's like it would be the flag of a fascist nation in a dystopian book where they're called like the Empire of the New Sun or some shit.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And their outfits would look cool. They would look really cool.
They look good. I love me a good flag. We should do a flag tier list sometime.
That would be dope.
I think we did that like a year ago, TJ.
Did we?
List, but we definitely like had like a whole episode about flags. I forget exactly what the premise was, but
I believe it.
We definitely talked about the Arizona flag.
I like that point you made about how the aesthetics of fascism are different now than they were in you know, Hitler's time, because you're absolutely right. One thing that, you know, doesn't get talked about enough is just how intelligent Goebbels was in I mean, I will never in my life give the Nazis anything, and I'm only speaking this in terms of just the mechanisms of evil, how he was able to weaponize propaganda and weaponize film as a tool of propaganda was something that at its time was revolutionary, and is something that severely aided the Nazi party in their rise to power. Not, you know, the film, the suits made from Hugo Boss, like aesthetics, Hitler and his team understood the importance of aesthetics and used that to great evil. And now what we're seeing here is the dumbest group of fascists, the most like they're bumbling their way through fascism, and what's scary is that they're doing it faster and like with seemingly less resistance, less resistance than the fascists that came before them. And that's what's scary to me, is because I think on some level it is intentional, because there's a lot of plausible deniability to be had when all of your moves, all of the sort of decisions you make on this road to building the perfect authoritarian state seem disconnected from the other. In an aesthetic way, right? It doesn't look like this was your plan from the beginning. It just looks like you've just been making one crazy decision after the other, and we'll see what happens next, at least for a lot of the people. And I think that's why we were so quick to just move on from the Elon Musk Hitler pose of it all, right? Because it's just, we've convinced ourselves that these are just weirdos, and there's not anything connected with how they act. There's no tangible connections between one decision from another, because they're not following the blueprint that we expected to have seen, or at least they're not aesthetically following the blueprint that we expected to have seen from the rise of a fascist authoritarian state. And like I said, what makes it more dangerous, I don't know if it's unsustainable like you guys say. I think they got 10 more years in them, gang. I don't know. I think they
fingers crossed. We'll see.
I hope not. I really hope not.
Well, speaking of spiritually poisonous cinema, let's move over to the MCU. So when we invited Ate on, we asked some other topics he'd like to discuss. We wanted to keep that episode kind of light. We're halfway through, so we got to get going with this right now. But Ate, I saw a video you did talking about your worries with the new Avengers movie coming out, Doomsday, I believe it's called. You want to share a synopsis and your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. And I'll actually repeat verbatim what I said in the beginning of that video if I can. Avengers Doomsday is a upcoming superhero film being produced by one of the most creatively bankrupt companies in the world, whose new profit model these days is to sell your nostalgia back to you, being directed by arguably the worst directors working in Hollywood, who haven't made a single good film outside of their work on the MCU, and who love AI. Now, that is like a perfect encapsulation of my worries for the MCU, but a little bit, to expand on it a little bit more, we are now in possibly the worst era for film, I think, that we have had, at least in my lifetime, perhaps ever, because when the MCU, which has been a vehicle for such change in the industry, unprecedented, like the likes of which has almost never been seen before, not only in the industry as an art form, but especially in the industry as a business, as an actual industry. It has completely reformed how films are made in Hollywood, from how they're made in terms of special effects, to how the stories are written, to what stories are greenlit, to what studios are focusing on now. And it's been a change, and it's been an agent of, like, I want to be nuanced when I say that it's been an agent of positive change and negative change. Now, the positive change, a lot less than the negative change. There's the good things that have come from the MCU. We've seen, they've made superhero movies the talk of the town. They've made them cool. They've actually found a way to make superhero films in a way that is like commercially successful and critically successful, which is something that was very difficult to do, in only a couple, films, superheroes. And they've redefined what it is, what a franchise is. Every single studio since the creation of the MCU has been scrambling for their own shared universe. That is cinema redefined. But on the flip side of that, movies are worse now because of the MCU. Movies are worse. The movie going experience is worse. IMAX theaters are being sort of gobbled up by meaningless, vapid superhero films, and which means like other creatively coherent films are not being played in IMAX theaters. And most importantly, I think the most important thing that the MCU has done is it's made audiences more stupid and less creatively curious, less intellectually curious, and more willing to just consume anything as long as it has a couple hype moments, and they don't even have to try anymore. That I can speak on this. I can continue to speak on this for hours, but that is my stance on the MCU. What do you guys think?
What do you think, John?
So first, we're going to get into my film major back here. So Zeke the Beast says Shang-Chi was dope. Is that were you agreeing with him there, TJ?
Yeah, I guess he said at least for me, and I said me too. Zeke might just be us.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna give you a little bit of good, a little bit of bad here. I agree that 2/3 of Shang-Chi was dope. I
Agreed.
thought that the first 2 acts.
Yes.
Pretty darn good. Like, I enjoyed them. I wasn't like, this wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life, but I was very much enjoying it. Some of the fight scenes were incredibly well choreographed, incredibly well shot. There was real creativity that went into those fight scenes that I hadn't seen from the MCU in a while. Like, I was really impressed by it. And then you enter the 3rd act, and it's just one big CGI clusterfuck. All that creativity that went into the fight scenes, to the martial arts, the choreography, just disappeared. And this was not an intentional creative decision by the filmmakers. This is how, at that time, every Marvel movie and a lot of big budget blockbusters were being made, where Disney would shop out the big CGI pieces before they even started making the rest of the film.
Before they even hired a director.
So that ending thing with the dragons and everything, I haven't seen it in a couple of years now, so I can't get specifics into it, but I do remember this very specifically, all CGI. And it was so much worse than all of the other fight scenes because it didn't thematically connect with the rest of the movie. And that's a problem because you need these things to converge into a cohesive storyline, like Ate was saying there. And it doesn't, because the point of the movie to Disney is not to make great art. It is to make great money. And there's nothing more cynical about that than Shang-Chi, which was going to be a good movie made by talented people with good actors, with good choreographers. They really cared about it. And it just got fucked at the end because of what Disney wanted to see from the movie. And that is a microcosm of even when they make a good movie, they still fail because of the things that Ate is bringing up here. Is that a fair critique in your mind, TJ, as someone who liked the movie?
Yeah, that's good. I can't complain. Yeah, the dragon part was weird. That's true. If I have to admit, I do remember there's a few things that stood out to me with the movie. And the fighting was so good. I remember thinking that everyone's been trying to, well, not everyone, but people, like live action anime. In fact, Ate and I, like a year ago, we did an episode talking about the Yu Yu Hakusho live action.
Oh yeah.
Show. Yeah, I remember a long time ago, and I was like, that's very difficult to do. But I remember watching Shang-Chi and thinking, oh man, if they wanted to make a live action Dragon Ball, like I wanted to look something like this. Like I think they got that down really well. And then the thing stood out, I remember when they had the scene where they were fighting on the scaffolding, and the scaffolding was made out of bamboo. It's actually like that in China. If you go and I remember when I first saw it, the only time I saw it when I was in China, but the scaffolding isn't made of steel. It's all made of bamboo, like 100 feet of, I know. But if you ever felt bamboo, that shit it feels like marble. It is incredibly tough.
Bamboo's a wonder material.
Bamboo's amazing. It doesn't seem like it belongs here on Earth. Like I remember, I knocked my hands on it. Will hurt your anyway. But I thought it was. You
guys
pretty
are
good.
The greatest bamboo PR team I've ever.
Oh, listen, this is the Left Wing brought to you by Big Bamboo. We are heavily in the pocket of Big Bamboo over here. But yeah, I do get it. I'll say I wanted to talk about what you mentioned, that it's made audiences dumber, because I agree that the films have gotten dumber. Wait, someone wrote here. I forgot who commented that Endgame. Oh, Endgame was probably one of the last good MCU movies. I didn't care much for Endgame. Endgame was okay. I thought Infinity War was 100 times better.
I agree.
But that specifically because once you add time travel into a movie, stakes don't make sense anymore. And then it introduced time travel and also like expanded on the universes and stuff. It's like, okay, well, now nothing fucking matters anymore. I think they kind of wrote themselves out of logic when they did that. Like I'll never forgive Endgame for that. But what do you mean that it made audiences dumber? Because I can tell that it's definitely made movies dumber. But you think the audiences have adapted to it? You don't think that there's a backlash against it?
I can't entirely blame the MCU for this. That would be unfair. This is something that falls on, you know, the sort of industry trends as a whole that I talked about, largely on the streaming era of, you know, film and TV, you know, with film, movies and TV shows now being made in such a way that they are designed for you to watch while you're scrolling on them. There's actually like a whole lot, like there's like a whole lot of things that go into how the streaming era and the MCU have sort of ruined the artistic side of films and have made audiences more silly. And a lot of that, like I said, has to do with the stories are now a lot less complex. They're designed to be a lot less complex because they're being made for the lowest common denominator. These are everybody films, and there's nothing wrong with an everybody film. There's nothing at all. But when you are creating a franchise of this magnitude, you know, you're not James Cameron that makes a trilogy of movies, you know, that you just really love, that, you know, the Avatar films that you just personally really believe in. You are a conglomerate. There is no singular auteur. There is no singular mind behind these films. This is a product of a corporation, and as such, it has to take in certain boxes. It has to do enough things for enough people and be watered down in such a way that it can be consumed by masses over and over and over and over again. And so the films are, at least now, because there wasn't always this way, but the films are largely intellectually lazy. They are uncritical of many things, many of the themes that they explore. Like, for an example, Eternals, which honestly tried to be a film. I'll give Chloe Zhao some respect. She did her best. Has, I think, the worst issue of thematic mess that I've seen in an MCU film, and I think part of that is because it actually tried to be a film and wasn't allowed to actually explore its themes on a deeper level. Its ideas of godhood, its ideas of, you know, the sort of like thinly veiled pro-choice versus pro-abortion argument that was being made between the Eternals, and whether or not they'd let Tiamat live so that he could destroy Earth but create a bunch of new suns that would create new life on planets. But overall, the films are made for the lowest common denominator. And because they are the biggest films, because we have now entered an era in film where box office success is equated with quality, at least in terms of the general masses, we are seeing a lot more people a lot less intellectually curious about diverse films because they feel like, I get everything I need from the MCU. If I want a movie that explores the nuances of good and evil, I'll watch Eternals. If I want a movie that explores the politics of the government, I'll watch Captain America: Winter Soldier. If I want a movie about, you know, gods and monsters, I'll watch Thor. Right? It's this idea that the MCU has become the everything franchise. It can touch a little bit of everything that you want, so you don't need any other films. You don't need to watch the other more intellectually rigorous films. You don't need to think too hard. You don't need to try too hard to explore why, you know, a character does this or why a character does that. And like I said, it's not all the MCU's fault. It's largely on streaming as well, but that is my stance.
I see. That makes sense.
I've got a whole laundry list here, so I'm just
Let's go.
Them off. First, number one, Endgame. I totally agree. Endgame is, if you compare Infinity War and Endgame, Infinity War is the better, more well-constructed movie.
Agreed.
However, the moment that they all come out of the portals in Endgame, slow clap.
10 out of 10.
It's a 10 out of 10.
Defining artistic moment of a decade. Like that was a cultural touchstone moment, and it made me feel things. And at the end of the day, if you make me feel strong emotions, I don't really care if the whole movie was It did it. It accomplished the goal. And then the MCU went off a cliff from there because they didn't have anything else. But like, I just had to say that. Props.
Wait, I'll tell you as an interjection. What was it?
I really don't mean to interrupt, John. I just I challenge you to go back and watch it.
Oh,
it's
no.
Really ugly.
Oh no!
It's really ugly. It is. I'm sorry.
No. I'm going to agree with you. They could have made it so much fucking better. But I still felt it in the moment.
Now that
I can't like go back and say I didn't feel that.
That's true.
Ate, now that you say that, now that I think of it, think about that wide shot with the portals. I was like, "Ooh, that does look kind of ugly in my memory."
Dude,
Now
it's ugly, bro. That whole final battle is disgusting.
Here's the thing. So I'll get back to you, John, real quick. But Ben, this says Rachel Hyatt, Ate, but it's Ben. Trust me. So it says I really loved Endgame because I saw it in theaters. It was my favorite until Oppenheimer. And I said essentially what John said is that, Ben, I think Endgame was a great event as a theater experience, at least, but not a great movie. That's how I say, because I remember watching Endgame and like that scene is like, oh, this is the culmination of like what, 12, 15 years of movies. And they put it all. It was a great event with your friends. We all talked about it
100%.
As a film. Yeah,
it deserves its props.
Yeah, as a film, I think it had a lot of shortcomings. But as far as the culminating event, and that's my theory, is like I don't think the MCU had anywhere to go from there. Even if you buttoned up all the issues with the time travel and the different dimensions, I think you couldn't possibly climb that mountain again. So sorry, John.
Well, TJ, the way they could have gone is to blow up what they had created and just do what DC's now doing, where they just let auteurs make films with their characters in whatever style they want, and they're fucking killing it. They could have done that. They could have just said, this arc is done.
That would have been a victory lap.
We're going to blow up into the multiverse and just random shit can happen.
So
and
no
that
more
would have been the way to
MCU.
do it. But they couldn't do that. And I want to circle this all back into what we were talking about with the aesthetics of fascism, because there's a lot of things that Ate was saying there that very much align with the fascist worldview on art in general and intellectualism
100%.
in general. And I'm not here saying that Disney is consciously trying to invigorate the fascist aesthetic into America. That's not what I'm saying, but they're a willing participant in it. And and if you look at fascist regimes throughout history, if you look at the fascist art, if you look at fascist film, it's all very much about the literal. It's about what it looks like is what it is. They hate nuance. They hate symbolism. They hate having to think too hard about things in their art. And there's a reason for that. Because if you start thinking too hard about anything involved with fascism, it begins to unravel quickly. And they know that. As Ate said in our previous episode, which if you did not watch it, make sure to subscribe to the Left Wing. Make sure to watch all of our videos, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But as he was saying, it is an intentional aesthetic in order to numb the audience to everything else. If you see it, you believe it. We tell you this, it is what it is. If you look at like Hitler's art, it's very fucking I don't want to call it photorealistic because it wasn't that good.
On the nose. It was like
it's on the nose. There's nothing going on in it. It's why AI is so prevalent in these circles, because they just do not care about the artistic process. They don't care about nuance. They care about it's something cool looking that they can consume. And that's it. That's all there needs to be to it. Why would there be anything else? Why does it matter what the artist intended or what message is trying to be delivered? All that matters is it looks good. So, Ate, your criticism of Endgame was kind of fascist, is basically what I'm saying.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Speaking of fascism and movies, I wrote something down like 20 minutes ago that I was going to mention to Ate, so it's going to be out of place. I'm sorry, but this is the only way I can shoehorn it. But I saw another video you did, and I wrote it down because I wanted to bring it up. But basically, you were talking about Gal Gadot, and Ate said that, I don't know what film you were discussing, but you're like, listen, you can choose not to support Gal Gadot for two reasons. One is because, you know, she's like not only a former IDF soldier, but she's a huge supporter of Zionism, but also she is a terrible actress. I thought that was just so funny. You're like, yeah, look,
I hated her as an actress before I hated her as an IDF soldier. I didn't even know she was an IDF soldier. And when I found that out, I was like, that makes so much sense.
That's what I love so much about this Snow White controversy, is that like everybody had a good reason to hate this fucking movie.
Like there was some culture war by like it failing. I'm like, no, I also hate it.
Hey, we hate Disney too. Like, I don't know what it might be for different reasons, but listen, if it fails, that's good.
We gotta shift gears to this episode's gonna run late, but we gotta shift gears into Invincible. But before we do, I want to comment on what Zeke said. Now I'm interested in you guys' opinion of the power women scene. I hated it. I personally loved it. Oh no. And then,
I
but
loved it. It was terrible. It was so
Right.
bad. We're talking about the one in Infinity War, right?
yes, yeah,
in
and,
Endgame.
yeah, or in Endgame, yeah, Endgame.
They did it again in Endgame, but it was better in Endgame, and I don't remember why exactly.
I don't remember in Infinity War, but anyway, but
They
it
didn't do
says
no
like
women scene in Infinity. Oh wait, they did with
was
Wanda and Okoye and Black Panther.
I was thinking of the one with
Black Widow.
when Pepper
Yeah,
Potts.
He's talking about the Endgame one. That guy's talking about the Endgame one. But I think
Okay,
John was
Endgame one.
talking
Yeah,
about
that's
the
the
one
one
from
that
Infinity
sucks.
Yeah, the Endgame one isn't as bad because at least they made sense. The one in Infinity War, it's like you built up this.
I don't even remember the one in Infinity War.
So it's like three of the not superpowered women. It's like
Okoye,
like
Black Widow, and
yeah. It's like three of the ones that don't have superpowers,
Mhm.
and they're fighting one of the horsemen of the apocalypse guys. That
I remember that.
and then one of the guys that like single handedly beat the shit out of Thor or something like that. I forget exactly.
Yeah.
What it was, but it was like, okay, I understand you're doing this power women scene, but could you make it make any fucking sense?
Oh, okay.
Why are we shoehorning this in? You did this work to build up this villain. Now I'm not scared of them because three mortal humans just kicked their ass. It ruins the movie to put that scene in.
To be fair, Wanda did come in and clutch at the end.
Okay, Wanda helped out. Yeah, she's essentially
Wanda
God.
helped, and she got God powers. I'll be
well.
You want to do it with Wanda? That makes fucking sense. Wanda's one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. You do it with fucking Black Widow, please.
Sorry. But Zeke says, but I am simple-minded. I don't really think deep, which is a weakness of mine. Zeke, no one talks about our listeners that way. Okay, that we're not going to allow that here on the left wing. Sorry about that. So, all right, shifting gears to
wait. I would like to tell how I think about that Endgame.
Oh,
scene.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't like it very much, but I see the value in it, and this is what I try to be charitable. I try to be like, as nuanced in my criticisms of Marvel, because there is a value that people derive from these, and I'm not the type of person to like tell you that like you're tweaking for having enjoyed that film or having enjoyed that scene. It's cool insofar as like from like a liberal capitalist standpoint, it is cool to see a marginalized group, whether that's women, gay people, Black people, whatever, be represented in film. Like that's just generally it's a cool thing. Capitalism's not going to go away tomorrow. Liberalism isn't going to go away tomorrow. So that sometimes it's okay to be happy that even under these circumstances, marginalized groups are reflected. And so I appreciate anybody that thinks that scene was cool. I personally thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous as hell because Captain Marvel is singularly more powerful than every single one of them women combined.
Yeah,
and they're like, she's got help. I promise you, she doesn't need it. I promise you, she doesn't need that.
Look, I think we'll get into this a little bit with this next topic, but the problem with a lot of these things is that power scaling is very difficult for these films for the characters to make any sense at all. Because yes, like why do we even need anyone else if we have Captain Marvel? Like what are the rest of you guys even doing here? I know it's just like it is funny, but okay, let's shift to
TJ, I have one thing to say.
We're never gonna get to Invincible, but
dude, he wants to talk about Invincible so bad.
If anyone disagrees with anything that has been said about how terrible the MCU has become, I beg you to go watch the original Iron Man, and you will be floored by the level of nuanced criticism of the U.S. military-industrial complex in that movie. You will be floored. It does not exist anymore in the MCU, and it was the original MCU movie. And it was very good, and that was part of the reason. And I'm not even saying that it's like incredible, like criticism.
Yeah, but it's way better
more,
than
if you go back and watch it, you'll be shocked by how brazen they were about it. Anyway,
look, my favorite part of Iron Man 1 was I like the suit. Like I know this is a tired critique that people make all the time, but once all the suits became nanotech, the suits lost their individual charm, right? And it also made it once again one of those power skills. Like, okay, why doesn't everyone have an Iron Man suit? You telling me Black Widow and Hawkeye couldn't use an Iron Man suit? Like, then you start questioning the intelligence of the character. So I don't know. I enjoyed like the simplicity of Iron Man, and I remember when Iron Man came out, like I liked Iron Man as a kid. But I didn't know anyone else who liked Iron Man. Iron Man was like a C-level superhero when I was a kid.
He wasn't popular.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, I was excited to see it, and I was stunned that everybody was like, oh, okay, people like Iron Man. But yeah, that was a fun experience. Okay, fine. now we'll move on. So we were going to talk about let's do it anyway. We'll probably go run a little bit late. I'll tell you, what are your thoughts on Invincible season 3? John and I, we haven't discussed it, have we, John? We were saving it for now.
No, we chatted a little bit about it, but our guest last week hadn't seen it. So it's
yeah. So I'll tell you, like, what were your overall opinions of season 3 of Invincible as a whole?
Positive, I say negative? This. Positive. I say this as a comic reader because I'm better than both of you because I read the comics.
Geez, here we go. Here we go.
It's one of the best comic book to screen adaptations of any comic book I've seen in a really long time. It improves on so much of the comics. Takes what works and maximizes it to a degree that it could easily go down, if not for the fact that the animation is dog water, it could easily go down as one of the best superhero television shows, I think, of like the 2020s. That's my opinion.
Oh, I would say it's one of the best superhero shows I've seen in my life.
It is one of the best superhero anythings ever.
Yeah. I
think you're being too
It's not
here.
It's not Batman the animated series level, but it's not far off, right? Like, I mean,
you're right. I agree. It's incredible. It is. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I was being disrespectful. No. It's definitely. It's like top 10 of superhero TV shows of all time. I don't want to put superhero anything because it's like a million movies, and once we start going down the list, I think it would quite easily get bumped down to like lower 20s if we included any superhero media. But it's top 10 superhero shows for sure.
Okay, all right, yeah. John,
what you were saying just in the last episode about movies and how they've just this is one of the worst time periods for movies. This is one of the best time periods for television. There's so much good TV coming out. So much.
Yes.
And to me, Invincible is at the top of that list. Like, it is one of my favorite shows to have come out in the past decade or so. It is one of the best shows of the streaming era. It is so good because here's the thing that it does. And you did mention it has kind of dog wash animation, which I do agree, especially after watching
what was it?
Arcane.
Oh yeah, Arcane.
Which just has mind blowing. You watch it, just like, really how did they afford this? Like,
it's like almost Into the Spider-Verse level animation.
It is. Honestly, there were points where I was like, I had that comparison. I was like, wow, this is as good as Spider-Verse. But anyway, we're not. That's a different show. Invincible. It's not just a great narrative in and of itself. It not just broaches topics like genocide, like masculinity, like all of these very important topics to this day and age at a level of nuance that is above most other shows that try to approach this topic. It's also just a fun fucking superhero show. Like DJ mentioned Batman the animated series there, and I don't know how our audience is about this, but people may have rolled their eyes and been like, but that's a kid's show. But it's like, it accomplished its fucking goal to the highest level. It is one of the best. It has a great rogues gallery. You're constantly entertained. It just accomplished that fun superhero wackiness at such a high level. Somehow, in a show that very soberly contemplates even the virtues of fascism. Like even when it's like discussing the Viltrumites and their ideology and their ethos, it digs down deep.
It does.
It makes you go, that's the point these guys are making. And it does that really, really well, and also has wacky fucking storylines about a streets level thug taking over the city from this fourth wall breaking AI robot criminal lord, and it's like, how do you put all of this shit together? And fucking what's his name with the I forget his name, but the really annoying character that
Rexplode.
Rexplode. What a dumbass fucking thing. They somehow made his arc good. How the fuck was I enjoying the Rexplode arc in this season? It worked, and it worked in parallel with the very nuanced discussions they were having in the rest of it just worked on so many levels, except for the animation, which just kind of gets by okay. But TJ, what are your thoughts? I've waxed poetic.
No, I agree with most everything you said, except I fucking love every scene of Rexplode. I never thought Rexplode was like, I'm in. I love it. I love every scene of Rexplode. Like, since season 1, I've been Team Rex all the way. But with the like with the difficult conversations they have in Invincible with responsibilities and family and masculinity and sex and relationships. And I'm so glad I don't know if you remember this, but we also discussed Invincible because I remember talking to you and I said that, listen, don't judge me here, but I remember that last scene of season 1, that last episode of season 1, and thinking, wow, Omni-Man's kind of got a point here. And because I was saying, listen, if you look at the world, if you look at this story from Omni-Man's eyes, right? Like, imagine that you got sent to like watch over like this gophers or something like that. And, you got these gophers and they got their society here. And like, you're a real freak and you fucked one of the gophers. You had a gopher, so you're a human gopher or whatever, And so then you tell your son, all right, look, we are like, we live.
Yeah.
We live 10 times longer than these creatures. We are significantly smarter and more powerful. We can help bring them medicine and make it better. And your son looks you in the face and says, well, no, Dad, these gophers have some good ideas. Maybe they should run the place for a while. You're like, what are you talking about? This is crazy. That's Omni-Man's point of view. It's like, okay, I kind of get where he's coming from. I'm not a Viltrumite propagandist here. You don't gotta ignore what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I get it. So I do like that the show makes you think and everything. And season 1 is still my favorite. Like, I haven't seen anything touch that like the mystery from the beginning with Omni-Man killing those folks and the whole season. I'm like, why did he do this? Like, every episode I have to find out what is going on here because sure, I can tell this guy's kind of grumpy, but he doesn't seem like a super villain. Like, what is going on? And then, like, I thought maybe Mark was like, oh yeah, maybe someone's controlling his mind. Nope, this is actually my plan. That was a great twist. And
God damn it. You guys are so lucky. You guys are so fucking lucky. I read that fucking first issue when I was like 11 years old. I didn't get to experience the fucking same level of mystery that you guys did.
The comics. I stopped myself from reading the comics because I know, as you said, the show improves upon the comics, and I do not want to spoil it. I do not. And if I start, I'm going to keep reading them, and
You're going to keep
not
reading.
do that to myself.
Have you read The Boys, Ate?
I haven't. I've heard that comic is god fucking awful, and I just want to read it out of morbid curiosity.
Okay,
but I haven't yet.
Okay, all right. So I wanted to get that.
Wait, TJ, I gotta say something. I gotta say something here because you're right. The first season is the best because of Omni-Man. Omni-Man is amazing, an amazing fucking character.
And J.K. Simmons' voice acting is crazy,
amazing, absolutely awesome. That's why that season is the best one. Season 2, it struggled for a couple reasons. It struggled with the release stuff, which wasn't all of its fault because of the writer's strike and everything. Like it did what it could, but one of the reasons it failed is because the multiverse guy, whose name I'm forgetting at the moment,
Angstrom Levy,
he kind of sucked compared to Omni-Man. He's still an interesting villain.
He was in 2 episodes. They hit him in 2 episodes of season 2. Like, that's the main bad guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's why season 3 succeeded. They were like, who's going to be the antagonist of season 3? We're going to make it the second most interesting character behind Omni-Man, and that's Cecil. And it fucking worked. Cecil as the antagonist in season 3.
Cecil's my favorite character.
Thank you. I agree so much, Ate. Cecil's not just my favorite character in the show. He's one of my like pantheon of like 5 top favorite characters I've ever seen.
He is incredible. He is, and the archetype that he, that Cecil is, he's the best version of that. The whole shadowy government figure, Nick Fury, Amanda Waller, those types of people. He is the single best of that archetype of any piece of media ever. He is so complex and interesting and nuanced, and it's not stuff that you see in the comics. This is all the TV show. It's all
great.
I'll tell you, I'm going to ask you a question. It sound like there's a subjective answer. There's a correct answer to this.
Oh Lord.
But comparing Cecil to the other characters that archetype, like the Amanda Wallers, why is he better?
Damn, why is he better?
I can explain like with Nick Fury, Amanda Waller I know a lot less about. Like she's with Suicide Squad and the Justice League and everything. But with Nick Fury and the Avengers, I don't take Nick Fury nearly as seriously as Cecil. Like,
that's one of the main
Cecil
reasons,
has gravitas. Nick Fury is like, this is my job, and Nick Fury doesn't seem to take himself too seriously either. He's like, I am like the comic-y drill sergeant, whatever. And it's a more serious show, I guess, Invincible than Avengers. Avengers could have done that if they wanted. But on our last episode, we were talking about this. I said someone hadn't seen the show, and we were talking about Cecil. And I said Cecil is like a more three-dimensional and more threatening Nick Fury. Like and also, like Nick Fury, I never got like the cruel and human side presented as well as it is with Cecil. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly my stance on that, because Nick Fury, for all intents and purposes, and I've talked about this at length, Shield should have been so much more of a complex. Like in the comics, Shield is a lot more shadowy than they are in the MCU. And Nick Fury should have been a much more sort of an anti-hero, much more sort of like seen as dangerous character than he was. He was completely whitewashed. He was completely, you know what I'm saying, like sanitized. Cecil, as a government figure charged with, you know, the defense of Earth, is so much more three-dimensional, so much more nuanced, and his character is explored through his conflicts with Invincible, because those are two different ideologies, and they exist both as three-dimensional characters, but as ideological positions about what is the best way to be somebody that saves people. What's the best way to go about that? You can either be a good guy or you can be the guy that saves the world.
Love
Cecil
that line.
is fucking
Love
like that, bro.
So good. So good.
So the right answer was kind of Brocha, but I just want to point this out because not enough people fucking talk about it. Look at Amanda Waller, and she's ruthless. Amanda Waller is ruthless. And she's a villain. Because so often the ruthless utilitarian will do anything at all cost character to save the world. They're always painted as a villain. But here's the thing with and because they're just evil. They get ruthless. The point of their ruthlessness is often to just be ruthless. Cecil, he weaponizes empathy and understanding of other humans to his advantage. It's why he's so good at his job. He manipulates the fuck out of people because he genuinely cares about them, but also because it serves his means. And it is such an interesting internal conflict that also serves the overarching conflict of the show, which is what is power? What does it mean to be powerful? What does it mean to utilize that power? Why are you utilizing it for? And just Cecil just brings it all together. And
damn, John, you don't make film content.
That's good.
I should. Okay, we're slowly trying to turn this show into a pop culture show. I really should. Like, if I hadn't like come up with a political niche, I probably would have eventually just made film content. Like, that is my bread and butter for real. But like, I don't know. It just it never caught wind. And so I
lock in.
Route, you know,
get around to it. All right, so we go to our tier list. Conservative Ozark, she says, if only the Viltrumites could come take over, so we wouldn't have to deal with Trump anymore. We have another Viltrumite propagandist right here.
I just don't know about that one, if I'm being honest with you.
I'm just going to say, I have not actually seen the negative consequences of Viltrumite rule if you don't resist. The show needs to show that, because I still am like, I feel like working.
You know what?
But it depends on how you define resistance. The bug people, they got wiped out because Nolan was fighting back. They wasn't fighting back, but then they massacred all of them.
Well, they were in. You know what? Hold on, we had to. All right, I want to know. Can we say?
Okay, if you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Next time Ante's back, we will have part 2 of our Invincible discussion. Now we need to move on to our tier list.
We got ourselves a bug lover over here. Okay, let's go to our. All right, our tier list today is going to be Invincible Elon support. So last time, Ante, we did The Boys, and I was going to do A Boys again with more other characters, and then John suggested Invincible. So that's perfect. We're talking about it now. So we've got the tier list broken up into a few categories here on how likely these characters would be to support Elon Musk. Very pro-Elon, kind of pro-Elon, very anti-Elon, kind of anti-Elon. Or would these characters do the right thing with Elon Musk?
I know exactly what you mean.
Well, I'm not saying what
we don't know what we mean. It could be We
I know what I mean. Shit, I'll be honest with you. I know exactly what the fuck I mean.
Now what that is subjective. It's up to the audience. Who knows? But
Yeah.
all right, we'll start. So we'll start with Ate here. Do you think Machine Head, where would he be in his support of Elon Musk? Where do you think?
I know where your family lives. Probably. I'm thinking kind of pro Elon. And the reason I'm saying that is because Machine Head is a dickhead. And I don't know. I just don't see him being on the right side of any movement. Even if he's not, I wouldn't even think he'd involve himself within the political realm. That's not his bag. But I think he would be pro Elon because he's pro capitalism. He's pro unfiltered, unregulated, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever you want. I think he's in his own way just as much of an asshole as Elon Musk, and I don't think he has any sense of honor, respect, or any shred of decency. I think he's one of the funniest characters in the show, but he's probably the most openly unscrupulously villainous. So yeah, I'm putting him kind of pro Elon.
Destructo Jugo just dragging Machine Head into that.
Yeah, I'm hating on him.
What do you think?
So I agree with everything Ate just said, but and because of that, Machine Head is one of my favorite.
Yes, dude, he's so funny.
Series. There are better characters, more nuanced characters, but just every moment Machine Head is on the screen is a moment of pure joy. Every clip is funny. He's interesting to contemplate as a villain. Just I love him, and I'm very excited that they kind of brought him back in season 3. But anyway, he's very pro Elon. Elon's exactly the kind of guy Machine Head wants in power, someone to distract the masses so he can just manipulate everything in the background.
Correct.
Machine Head loves corruption. Elon Musk very pro corruption. They would work very well. Machine Head would spend some money lobbying for Elon. They would just wash each other's hands very nicely.
Correct.
All right. So I am putting Machine Head in the very pro Elon Musk category. Not only because his corruption and his evil, whatever. He has a machine head. This is perfect for Elon Musk. Musk,
you're right. Elon Musk would love Machine Head even more than Machine Head.
Elon Musk would go out of his way to track down Machine Head. It is stumble and mutter his way through explaining why this is. Yeah, you finally actually have a successful engineering project, and I really want to get you on my team here. So yeah, and then he's got the cool voice and everything. Absolutely, I love Machine Head. I love every scene that he's in, and just like Elon Musk has no business being in his position of power and authority, Machine Head has no business being such a good character. If you just told me about this person, I was like, that sounds stupid, but I watch it, I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is incredible.
I also love, just to say, the naming convention is Invincible. Machine Head, such a dumb fucking name. It's almost like they intentionally give them the dumbest, least nuanced names possible to juxtapose how well built the characters are.
Yeah, that's because there are some great names, like Duplicate, incredible. But
also dumb as shit. Also corny and dumb as shit.
Duplicate's great. No.
Damn, this is a tough one.
Duplicate is a great name.
Duplicate is clever. I'm sorry.
Duplicate is clever.
It's clever, but it's cheesy. It's not.
It is a little cheesy. It's on the nose. Multi-Paul is far more on the nose, though. That's crazy. That is a cheesy bad name. But Duplicate, I think, is.
And then, but because then you got Monster Girl, you didn't even try, you didn't even fucking try. I like some work being put into these names or whatever. But okay, now we'll go over to our man Cecil. What do you think, John?
Would do the right thing. Would do 100%. Cecil cannot. Someone who would be that destructive to the revenue systems of the U.S. government, Cecil would do the right thing. There's no way that he would allow someone to interfere with his revenue streams like that. I can interpret it however you want. I don't know if he could destroy Elon in any which way. He would just take him off the board as soon as he became.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, so wait. Well, we'll get to you. We'll get to Ate. We're gonna roll through. So, all right, you'll have the final say. Ate, you'll decide where Cecil goes here. So I disagree, John. I think Cecil would work with far worse people than Elon Musk. Well, maybe not far worse.
He work with worse people. He work with more competent, morally worse people. Elon is incompetent. That's why he would not be useful.
You're telling me Mark Grayson is competent? Like, I mean,
he's powerful. He's powerful. Elon is neither competent or powerful.
So I would put Cecil in the kind of pro Elon. He wouldn't be a fan of his, but he's like, okay, the guy's got billions of dollars. I'm gonna make use of this.
But before TJ, did you mess up the very and kinda anti Elon?
I saw that.
You go very pro Elon, kind of pro Elon, very anti Elon, kind of anti Elon. Dude, the scale doesn't work here. TJ.
Wait, what do you mean? Very pro Elon.
Very and kinda should be switched.
Yeah, they should be
from like most pro Elon to least pro Elon.
And yeah. Okay. No, I didn't. Okay. Well,
anyway, you fucked up.
Wait, what do you mean? So it should be like very
oh my god, he doesn't get it.
Kind of pro Elon, very anti Elon, kind of. What do you mean?
This is a scale from 1 to 10. Most pro Elon to least pro Elon. That you have
five,
it
5 should be in the middle, not at the end.
Yeah,
because if kind of anti Elon is like number 5, and very pro Elon is number 10, and very anti Elon is number 1, then 5 should be in the middle, not towards
change the list, fellas. Let's go. Fuck it. It's staying. All right. What do you got for us, Ate?
Fuck. I was really gonna say that he would be anti Elon, but then I remembered. Cecil is the CIA. You know what I mean? Like, he's the CIA, he's the Department of Homeland Defense, he's all these agencies rolled into one. And if there was a politician like Elon Musk in the Invincible universe that said, I am going to go through all these agencies and see where all this money's going, Cecil would have had him disappeared by the next business day. Come on now. He would do the right thing. That's my stance.
He is changing it. We got
because ain't no way he folded. Ain't no way some random fucking rich guy is gonna come up and start checking the receipts on Cecil's purchases. Do you have any idea how much those teleporters cost? You think he wants anybody finding out?
Right?
Hell no.
Again, I don't think he wouldn't just Elon, he would give him a nice retirement package to go off somewhere and disappear. He would take care of him in whatever way you want to take
the right way,
but he would be taken care of.
Okay. I would be remiss not to point out, someone do a blood test on Conservatory of the Ozarks to see if she's human or Viltrumite. She's like, no corruption guaranteed under Viltrumite rule. And
hell no.
Starting a chance, Viltrumite.
Viltrumite.
That's great. All right.
This is becoming a pro Viltrumite podcast.
I mean, I did
She's having like a rally in the comments.
We wear just big red O's on our shirts from now on. All right. So, all right, speaking of Viltrumites, let's go with Mark Grayson. Now, Invincible here, I hate to say it. I hate to say this, but I think Invincible would be kind of pro Elon.
Yes, now, 100%. You're right.
Not because I think Invincible's a bad guy. I don't think that he has like malicious intent, but as mentioned, incredibly stupid. Like, the one part of the show that does irritate me is how dumb Mark is. Now, I get it. He's like 19 or 18 or something. He's a young man and he has superpowers. He's got a complicated life. I was pretty dumb when I was 18 or 19, just like everybody else. Mark seems exceptionally stupid, which might make the show work. But Mark has a hard time doing the right thing, as we have seen. And so whatever that might be, but I don't think he'd love Elon, but it could be easily fooled, I think, by Elon's lack of charm and money and everything. Probably a crypto dude. Well, what do you think, Ate?
I think you got a nail on the head. I think the only thing to add to that, Mark is an immature boy. He's not politically aware. I mean, he's written. The show isn't about politics, so obviously he's not written to be politically aware. But speaking of him as a real person, he's not politically aware. He doesn't really understand the way the world works beyond like his specific area of being a superhero and fighting bad guys. And to his, that's a detriment to his intelligence. And when it comes to like young men, hetero. Mark isn't white; he's half Asian, but sort of these type of guys. they're very easily like kind of swayed by Elon because they don't pay too much attention. You kind of have to be paying attention a lot of the times to see the bad stuff Elon does. But when you're not paying attention, you kind of see the stuff where it's like, oh, you know, Elon is a tech billionaire that owns 3 companies and he's trying to colonize Mars and bring us to space. And he's got the electronic cars and those are cool, right? And oh my God, he smokes weed on the Joe Rogan podcast. Oh, he likes anime. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like and Elon Musk has cultivated that personality for that exact reason to appeal to people like Mark Grayson, and that's why I think it would work. I think Mark would be like, "Well, I don't really focus on politics, but from what I see, Elon Musk is pretty cool." That's
What do you think, John?
I think that if Mark Grayson personally knew Elon Musk, he'd be kind of anti-Elon just because he'd be like, this is such a bullshitter. I can obviously see that. But yeah, Mark Grayson wouldn't pay that much attention, and especially season 1 Mark Grayson. If he did know who Elon was, he'd be kind of pro. He wouldn't be very pro Elon. I do think just like, as you said, politically, he would be disaligned with Elon in this moment of time and have kind of a partisan bias against him. But season 1, Mark Grayson, 100% kind of pro Elon. Season 3, Mark Grayson wouldn't even give a shit about Elon, but he'd probably just have the same default view as season 1, Mark Grayson. Yeah. So yeah, kind of pro Elon, 100%.
Love it. Also, I want to Jaden Foster. Rexplode is a great name too. I love Rexplode. That's a good name too. All right, so I want to throw it there. All right, so we'll go over to Ate you'll start us off with Shapesmith. What do you think his political
every character just like such a great character. Just another great character in this show.
Really? Dude, fuck this guy. I don't even like. What do you mean, great character? What has he offered you in this series? What does he do for you? He's had like 5 lines.
He makes me smile every time he opens his mouth.
My fucking John is just like, dude, everybody in this show is the best character I've ever seen. Dude, you gotta come on. Shapesmith, shapeshifter. He's listen, I'm putting him on the kind of pro Elon, and the reason I say this is because he's not human. He hasn't been on Earth for very long. He doesn't understand human culture, the nuances. He's just trying to fit in. And I think if he's scrolling social media, especially if he's scrolling X, and you know, he's probably falling pretty deep into the alt-right pipeline, just because he's so inexperienced with humanity, and he kind of just end up thinking Elon's cool. He's Elon's quirky, he's weird, you know, just like James. Like they're damn near kind of similar in how uncool they are. So I think they are. So I think he'd be kind of pro Elon, like not very pro Elon, but yeah.
I would agree with you to the extent that I would say that he would maybe even be very pro Elon. Like depending on how much exposure he's had to Elon Musk is all that matters in the difference between kinda and very. The more exposure he has, the more he would like him. He is what Shapesmith aspires to be. Someone who clearly cannot communicate like a human being, and yet for some reason is beloved by many humans anyway. He would start to look like Elon Musk over the different episodes if Elon Musk existed in the Invincible universe. I wouldn't say he's as pro as Machine Head because I just don't think Shapesmith is capable of holding strong opinions, but I would be willing to put him in the very pro Elon.
All right, so this is mine again. I am going to put Shapesmith, my executive decision, very pro Elon is where Shapesmith is going, folks. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because you guys are correct. Like Elon Musk, Shapesmith is a bumbling, stuttering fuckhead prick, and can't fit in with society. Really goofy. Somehow finds himself in a powerful position despite his best efforts to be a complete moron. But like Machine Head, Elon Musk would seek this guy out because he's from Mars. Elon would be all.
Oh my God, you're right.
He would be all over it. Right?
You're right.
Man, I would hold my breath hoping none of you guys would mention that. I was like, Elon would make a beeline for Shapesmith, and man. And so, as dumb as Shapesmith is, he's like, oh, this powerful human is my best friend. He would be pro Elon, like he'd be the biggest Elon cheerleader on the planet. Yeah, so that's what I'm going with. All right. So, John, it's your turn for Nolan Grayson, Omni-Man, my hero. What you got for us, John?
God, I'm realizing that we're almost out of time. I will spend the rest of the night doing this tier list. I love it so much.
I swear to God, dude, I don't even care. Let's just get through it.
I don't think this one's going to take very long. do the right thing. 100%. He wouldn't even like Elon would annoy him instantly, and he'd just murder him on the spot. There'd be there wouldn't even need to be that much of an ideological reason behind it. It would just be that Elon Musk would try to be best friends with Omni-Man, and Omni-Man would
and that would piss him off.
It'd be just piss him off. Be like, you weak piece of shit, get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, I agree with John. I would put Omni-Man right there next to Cecil. Like I can just see Omni-Man being introduced to Elon Musk, and it's like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Like, this is what you guys have to offer? Like, this is gonna be easier than I thought. Out of sheer annoyance, like no philosophical or academic reason. Is like, no, I just want to turn this guy into a greasy smear on the pavement as quickly as I can. Well, what do you think, Ate?
This is a toughie. This is a toughie because I can present arguments for both, because like you guys are saying, he would very easily be annoyed of him. However, I think we are forgetting the fact that our boy Omni-Man is on his redemption arc, and he's learning to control his temper. And I don't think season 3 Omni-Man would kill a human being if he didn't have a reason to do it, after all that.
Actually, no, you're right. You're actually 100% right here that Omni-Man would be about to do it, and then Mark would be like, no, bro, Elon's cool. And he would save Elon's life.
You'd be like, okay, son. You're like, okay, son, you're right. As far as
you get the final say. You get the final say. You can place him wherever you want.
Oh, as far as being pro Elon, could I see him being pro Elon? Fuck no. I really can't. I think it's kind of anti Elon, just kind of like Nolan doesn't seem like the type of person, right wing, left wing, whatever, to really bother himself with human politics. Like that would be something that feels so beneath him. I think even like end of story, like Omni-Man still wouldn't care enough about human beings to like really care about their political figures. And so if he saw Omni-Man on the news, if he saw Elon on the news, he'd probably be like, wow, that guy seems like an asshole. And
it really depends on the amount of exposure that Omni-Man has. He'd obviously be anti. The extent to it is how much he is personally annoyed on.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting very anti anything though. I don't know. I just don't think he's.
I think he would be like, Elon would explain his utopian vision for Earth, and he would be fucking insulted. He goes, no, I have a utopian vision for Earth, and you're telling me your ridiculous shit. It would bother him. All right, so I'll get started here with Robot. And you know what? One of the worst feelings I had in season 3, maybe in the whole show, was R.I.P. Rexplode, real one. I loved me some Rex. And at Rex's funeral, seeing robots who already stole Rex's body saying, I'm going to honor Rex by taking his name. What the fuck is wrong with you? That is creepy as hell.
It's very creepy.
I hate that so much. And so the fact that Robot is clearly obsessed with machines like Elon Musk, and a weird like sex creep, and playing God with the whole human bodies thing, I think he's pro Elon. I know he's smarter than him and everything, but I think that the weirdness and the obsession with technology, him actually being good at it, I'm going pro Elon. What do you think, Ate?
One thing, side note, gang, Robot, I love Robot so much. He's like, later on in the story, he becomes such a significant part
of the
Invincible storyline in such a huge way, and the discussions that will be had on his character, I think will be more interesting than any discussions on any character. Yeah, and I think it'll start like within the next season. But that's just my little tidbit. As far as where he stands, I gotta disagree, big brother. He's very anti-Elon because to me, Robot is about structure. He does not like chaotic elements. And I guess I'm speaking on his character like as I know it, from finishing the story. He's a character that is very, he likes to be particular about the structured way things should work. I think that's essential to his character. And Elon is too much of a loose cannon, dude. He's too unpredictable. He's too neurotic. He's too weird. Rudy's weird. Rudy Rex. I don't know what the fuck this guy's name is. Robot's weird. But Elon Musk is like 5 different things on top of being weird, though. Like he's not just weird. You know what I mean? Like he's also weird and also dumb and also unpredictable and also dangerous. And I think those things would make Robot anti-Elon.
All right. I have a question for you. Does he change his name to Rex in the comics?
Yes.
Okay. No more of that. But I just
he said no more of that.
That scene, they played it very straight. They played it like it was an incredibly weird thing to do.
Yeah, they did.
And I feel like that's going to come back to us. But I don't want any spoil. But Robot's
I'm not
such
say
a
anything
character because he's very smart with a very flawed understanding of humanity, and yet tries to do his best to understand it. And that turns him into a very interesting character. When he had the thing where he was like they had the conflict and they had the separation of the Guardians, and he left, and I think it was
Bulletproof. Bulletproof asked like,
was it Bulletproof who asked him? Yeah, Bulletproof asked him. He's like, is it because of the girl? And he's like, I mean, kind of, but Mark is the most powerful being on the planet. Yeah, and I'm gonna side with that guy. If shit goes down, I want to be on his side. And it was like, oh shit, this is still the cold, hard fucking robot.
This is some Game of Thrones shit.
But yeah, I got to agree with you, Ate. Very anti-Elon. Here's the thing, TJ. Like we said with a lot of these characters, it does kind of come down to how much exposure is there to Elon. But Elon would have a fucking hard on for Robot. Elon would be up Robot's ass every fucking day of the week.
And Robot
even more so than the other two, probably. He's literally Iron. And
I agree.
And so he would just be so annoyed by Elon. Even if like he didn't really care about him, there's just no avoiding him for a Robot. So yeah, he'd be very anti.
I think it could go either way. I think as far as Elon's relationship with Robot being, I think Elon, like I said, is so insecure that he's built his entire personal brand on being like this smart, like being the real life Iron Man, being this super genius that invented SpaceX and invented Tesla and invented all these other tech companies, right? The tech company super genius eccentric billionaire. And I think an actual genius like Robot would actually threaten him and make him despise him. I think
and then Elon would try to hurt him, and then Robot would
try to
he wouldn't do the right thing, but he would make sure that he didn't get annoyed anymore.
All right. So let's go. Ate, you're up with Oliver Grayson.
Is this even a question, bro? Put that little boy in very pro Elon right fucking now.
All right. Why do you say so? What's your
what? That is the most young fascist I've ever seen. I
like an Elon super fan. It would be fucking.
It would be him. It would be Omniboy. It would be Omniboy to the max. Oh my god, he is the alt-right pipeline. Like that kid is like. I don't know if you guys have seen Adolescence, but he's like
Mark kept telling us to watch it last time.
You guys haven't seen Adolescence?
No. Is it good, Ate? Tell me
what the fuck is
good. I'll watch it.
Sounds like it's good.
I think it's one of the most important limited series I think I've seen in a very long time. And this is like a slight tangent, but I kind of want to like give a quick sales pitch for you guys to check it out as soon as you can. It explores, and it's the first series or movie or anything of its type to explore the effects of the manosphere on the young generation in such a nuanced and such an emotionally heavy way. Like it's not about knife crimes, it's not about murder. It's like about this young boy in the UK who stabs his female classmate to death. And as you go through these episodes, you unpack the psychology of why Jamie, the boy's name, why Jamie did what he did, the psychology of how the manosphere, how the Andrew Tate sort of red pill, hypermasculine ideology has infected his growing mind, and how it's sort of contorted and warped his perception of women, his perception of masculinity, his perception of himself, and how all of those things culminate in that act of violence. And not only that, how it destroys his family. There's this episode, the 4th episode. It's only 4 episodes long. Each episode is 1 hour, so it's like you can get through it in like a day or two. And the 4th episode, centers on his father and their family 13 months after the son has been, arrested for the murder. And it's one of the most emotional episodes. It really, really is like, it broke me, dude. It was really, really like a deep show. So highly recommend you guys watch it.
I'll be honest. I respect your opinion.
I appreciate that. This kid is going towards pro Elon. Put him there right now.
Well, John's up. Well, what do you think, John?
Yeah, very pro Elon. Like it's actually shocking to me because like I didn't really think too much about this before we started the show, but like if you were to just like knee jerk reaction, we did The Boys and we did Invincible, and you were to say which one would have more pro Elon people, I would say The Boys. The Boys had very little pro Elon people. This one, Invincible, is just stacked with pro Elon.
Yeah, there's a few.
I think Omni Boy would be more pro Elon than Machine Head. I honestly think he'd
than anybody else.
Right
he'd
there
be the most pro Elon. He's the target audience.
I gotta agree with you guys. Very pro Elon, and like even if you're on the
put him in first, TJ. He's gotta be first.
So even like if there was any question, he would find out that Mark is pro. He's okay, all right, cool. I'm on the right track.
Exactly,
now.
yeah.
I'm
on
good
the
to go.
right track.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be the one thing that would stop him. But Mark, as we said, would be kind of pro Elon.
He would be kind of pro Elon.
All right. So John, you're up next with our boy Rex. R.I.P. to a real one. Explode. Where are we putting him?
It depends on what Rex. Rex could be anywhere on this chart, depending on what point in his arc we're at. In season 3, Rex would be kind of anti-Elon, I think. Or maybe even very anti-Elon. But
I think he'd do the right thing. That's right.
Well, we gotta wait. You get to choose. I'll tell you.
Yeah. So I would preempt that discussion by saying I don't think Rex would have the time or energy or desire to do. Like, I don't think they wouldn't be in each other's circles. Rex doesn't go out of his way to save the world. You know, like that's not what.
True.
Right? He's not out there seeking righteous vengeance. That's just not Rex's cup of tea. If there was a situation where like Rex could do the right thing and it was like the right thing to do in the time, Rex would do it. I just don't see that situation popping up. When Rex was Omniboy's age, very pro Elon. Rex at the end of season 3, very anti Elon. That's where I would put him.
I would put Rex at kinda anti Elon. That's where I put him because I could see I agree with John that early in Rex's career. He would have, he's not a big fan of, powerful government, but he's like, hey, this is what I got to work for and everything. So I could see him, just tagging along. It's like, oh, this Elon guy. But as he matures and got older, I think Rex is not a great guy, but he has a good heart. So like he means to do right. And so I would have him waffling in the kind of pro Elon, kind of anti Elon thing. I think by the end, I would put Rex in the kind of anti Elon. Like, what do you think, Ate? You get the final
I think
say.
so too. I think he wouldn't be very anti Elon because I just don't think he'd care enough to be very anti Elon. I put him in the kind of anti Elon because I think Rex would think Elon is a fucking dweeb. You know what I mean? Like
that's a good point. Great point.
Ultimately, that's what it is. Rex is a cool guy, you know, and he's a very self-assured person. Like he knows he's a douchebag. And also like being a reformed piece of shit himself. I think he can tell when a person is a genuine piece of shit,
Yes.
And I think he would just look at Elon like this guy is a fucking loser.
Damn it. That's the best point anyone's made this entire discussion. Rex would immediately reject Elon for being a fucking nerd. That's why I guess like a fucking loser. He's like, nerd. No, like, are you kidding me? Like on principle, I gotta be against this guy. That is Rex. If there's one thing Rex is, he's cool, right? Like, yeah,
he's cool.
I totally agree. All right, last but certainly not least,
before we get to, because you obviously left me for last first, but we had a request.
Oh sure.
Who said it? Shit. Oh, can't believe Kobe said it. Can't believe you didn't put Battle Beast in this.
That's
lineup.
True. I forgot about my man.
Where would Battle Beast be?
Okay.
But my thing is, he wouldn't be in it. He wouldn't give it. Like Elon wouldn't exist in his mind. If Elon can't hurt him, he doesn't care about him. Like that's kind of Battle Beast thing.
If Elon can't shoot the fade, then
I didn't find Battle Beast to be a terribly interesting person to put on this list.
Yeah, don't disrespect my man's.
I love Battle Beast. He just wouldn't give a shit about Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's already questionable how much the people on this list would care about human politics or whatever.
Yeah,
if anyone in the show would not give a fuck about human politics, it'd be Battle Beast, right?
It'd be Battle Beast. That's true.
Yeah, can't imagine him caring. Now, this character does care about human politics with the Immortal. Now, I see a lot of memes about the Immortal and about him being a bitch, and those kind of annoy me. They do because, listen, I mean, not as like a character, but like his power level. Like, Immortal's a strong character. He just gets his ass kicked by Viltrumites and shit. Okay, all right. Well, what do you expect him to do against Omni-Man and Invincible and everything? So
I can't agree with that. Come on now.
Okay, well, I mean,
during the Invincible War, everybody was putting in work. Everybody was putting in work. Omni-Boy, even Powerplex got to smoke. Explode, even at the cost of his life, sure. But Immortal can't even die, and he wasn't even willing to sacrifice his life to take one out.
I don't know. Like losing to a Viltrumite doesn't seem like a bitch move to me. Like, I don't care who you are, right? That just
don't know.
So, all right. Well, this isn't about how strong he is, but like, I can't imagine Abraham Lincoln being a fan of Elon Musk. I refuse to accept it. I just can't. I just don't see that happening. I think that I think I'd put Immortal in the very anti-Elon category. What do you think, Ate?
It's funny that you say you refuse to accept that Abraham Lincoln would be pro Elon. I refuse to accept that Immortal was Abraham Lincoln because Immortal was a bitch, and Abraham Lincoln was canonically not a bitch.
Abraham Lincoln ain't no bitch.
It was not a bitch. True.
Abe was not a bitch. So I know that's like it's canon that Immortal was Abe Lincoln, but damn, bro, that's so disrespectful to Abe Lincoln. God fucking damn it. But I agree. Like if this character, I think, and I'm not going to go based on my perception of Abe Lincoln. I'm going to go based on what I've seen of Immortal. Do I think he'd be pro or anti-Elon? I think it's a toughie. I think he would be kind of pro,
okay,
Elon, a little bit pro. And I can't exactly. This is the only one where I'm just going based off vibes, and maybe it's because I really don't fucking like Immortal, but I can't explain this to you in a way that makes logical sense other than saying, I don't know, his vibes give me like, I think he would be like, oh, this Elon Musk guy, he's got some interesting things to say. I don't agree with his approach, but, I think he's commendable for wanting to, colonize Mars, save the world. I think he's built a very good Indian. I just feel like Immortal is a very old-fashioned type of guy that wouldn't be ecstatic about how Elon Musk presents himself, but would still respect his accomplishments and like his stated goals.
Okay, John, you get the final say.
Yeah, so when I first started thinking about this, I was like, I feel like Immortal wouldn't really give a shit about Elon. I feel like it wouldn't really matter to him. But the more I think about Immortal and his just general ideology and worldview, it's hard to say Immortal is a fascist because Immortal doesn't like hate, and he doesn't hate the bottom of the hierarchy, but he fucking respects the top of the hierarchy.
Yes.
He's a very hierarchical worldview.
He's a bootlicker.
Cozies up. He's a bootlicker.
Yeah.
Cozies up to Cecil for that explicit reason. There's really no reason that Immortal does what he does other than he feels a sense of like, I need to submit to this authority. And eventually he creates a fucking authoritarian monarchy of the entire world, which is also why I say his power level, I think, is smaller than it eventually becomes. Like he becomes much more powerful and then becomes much less powerful when Mark kills him. But like he's only going to get more powerful. I don't think he's a bitch. Like he just kind of is a dickhead more so. Like I don't know. Like he'll throw hands. He has no problem with that. He's not really in it for any good reasons. He just kind of likes generally having this power structure in place. He'd be kind of pro Elon.
All right.
He'd be kind of pro Elon for reasons that are different than anyone else in the pro Elon side of this tier list. But it's fascists of a feather flock together.
All right. All right. Good stuff. This is like our most evenly spaced tier list I think we've had, John. This is a good one. Yeah, this is pretty healthy. Usually we have like one or two that are like way higher than the others or something like that. There's double zeros, but all right, good stuff. All right.
I'm proud of this.
All right, let's wrap it up. That was a great episode. We ran really late, but it was well worth it.
That was a great episode. Thank you guys for being here. Depending on which episode you just watched, I probably already told you to like and subscribe. So if that is the case, well, go get someone else to do it because we got to expand this audience somehow. If you liked Destructo Hugo, our good friend Ate, you've probably seen him before on this show. If you haven't, bad on you because you didn't like and subscribe. But if you would like to see more of him, Destructo, where can they find you?
As usual, you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram at all the handles. Destructo Jugo, one word, 2 U's. Yeah, I'm definitely expanding more into making more content on YouTube. I say that every time, and I still have not like dropped a new YouTube. Dude, I've been writing for months, but it is coming. It is coming. I got a couple coming, and I'm also getting into, if you guys have noticed, like more like sort of mini video essays. The Doomsday MCU Avengers Doomsday was like the first of a new type of video that I'm going to be making sort of my main focus, which is just like 2 to 4 minute short video essays about particular topics. Check out my one about warfare, about Alex Garland's Warfare. I dropped it today. I want to see what you guys think about my opinion on that. But yeah, thanks for having me. And that's where you can find me.
Fantastic. We love it so much. Thank you so much, Ate. Folks, we don't care if you're pro left wing, anti left wing, do the right thing and like and subscribe to this channel. We appreciate it. Catch you guys later. All right. Good.